This version of It's Erik Nagel has been modified from its original broadcast. Content has been edited to fit this platform.
Believe none of what you hear and half of what you see.
It's Erik Nagel. And it starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen of the universe, the next voice you hear, it's Erik Nagel.
Well, thank you, Scott Shannon. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the program. My name is Erik Nagel, and over there in the frozen tundra known as Arizona, say hello to Jordan.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the program. If you're doing so on the iHeartRadio app, if you're listening to us any other place and time on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your on-demand content, do us a kindness, go over there and leave us a positive review. It does help out the program. And if you want to join us live each and every week as we're doing this show, you can hop on in to our live rooms on YouTube and on Twitch, both under It's Erik Nagel. You can hop in there. We'll talk, we'll chat. No big whoop. Jordan, how are you, my friend? How are you doing?
Doing good. I'm a little tired from all our late night jaunts across the universe, but I'm managing. It's been good. Did my dadly duties today. Got the kid to the dentist and just kind of surviving the week. Nothing too crazy.
How many did you knock out this time?
No, routine checkup.
Kid'll never
and
listen.
Then I know. No, routine checkup. Was told everything looks good. Brushing's good. No issues. A little couple loose teeth back there. I asked, how many do you think he's got left? Dentist said 12, and I said pull them all, and I was met with some very wide-eyed, scared looks for a second.
Then you just turn to the kid and you go, it's just like getting your appendix or your tonsils out. You get all the ice cream that you want.
Just get them out now.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it later.
Do it now and then worry about school year's over. I mean, you guys end in May or something, right?
Yeah, we end in like 6 weeks, 7 weeks, something like that.
School year's over. He doesn't have to see other kids. He's not into girls right now, so it doesn't matter. Just have the toothless summer that everybody else dreams of. And then come back all white and ready with your pearly whites in the back there for the new school year.
Would be nice.
Would be nice.
There's no more school pictures to take. You're right. Right at the end. Just get it done.
Kids just don't know how good they have it nowadays.
Nope.
They don't. Well, good. Glad everything's going well for you. For me, I had a bit of a lunch meeting this week, and something happened to me that has never happened before.
Someone recognized you on the street.
No. So at the restaurant, about finished with the meal and everything else that's going on, I excuse myself. I go to the men's room. Go into the men's room. So I'm going there and I have to pee. So I'm peeing. Right as I'm starting and there's a decent flow happening, the lights cut out. Now, I'm not at a urinal. It's a small place. It's a toilet. And it's a low toilet. So the lights go out, startles me. It's now going around like a fire hose unattended. And I'm sitting there trying to aim while also trying to I'm hitting the wall trying to find a light switch or whatever. Turns out there's no light switch.
Is it one of the motion sensor lights?
Yes, it's a thing that turns on right as the door opens. It's on, so you think, oh, they just have the lights on all the time, but it times out real quick.
That's terrible.
I'm waving my arm around while trying to keep other things in control, and the light finally goes on, and I look down. I'm finishing. I'm close enough, but then I take a step back, and it's a mess. So I was like, well, I can't just leave this here at this nice restaurant. I can't do this.
Oh, my God.
So now I am pulling toilet paper and paper towels from the dispenser. I'm trying to clean this up. I'm flushing, I think, 4 times. So if there's a line outside, they're going to be like, what? Because it's a one-person bathroom. They're going to be like, what the hell did this guy eat? Or what is going on in there? Cleaned everything up. It took a while because now I've been in there long enough. The thought goes through my head. The people that I'm with are thinking he's been in the bathroom a bit longer than it takes to go pee. He must be doing something else, right?
Eric's taking a toozy.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. And I'm trying to figure out, how do I take a photo of this? And I didn't think to take the photo until I was halfway cleaned up in there. And I was like, I'll just tell the story because, it's if you don't believe it, who the fuck cares? It was just too nonsense to to not tell. Clean everything up. I walk back in there, and of course, one person goes, "Everything all right?" Which I know means, "Did you go take your shit?" And it's not the case. And I said, "No." I said, "Everything's fine." It's like, you're not gonna believe it anyway, so it's all good. And they're like, "No, what happened?" So I told them. It's met with dead silence, staring at me, and then all of a sudden grins start showing.
Because
And
you
they're
know what
just-
their first reaction is? Because this is what's going on in my head. There's no way this grown man hasn't peed before to where even if the lights went out, all he has to do is just stand still, continue what he's doing, and then figure out where the lights are. Instead, it was, oh crap, there must be a poltergeist in here. I have to pull a Ghostbusters and try to hit it with a stream.
It startled me.
Oh my God.
I was startled.
Oh man.
Yes, so I freaked out a tiny bit when I shouldn't have, because I've been used to, I was thinking about this too on the drive back home. I was used to this when, if we were on road trips and stuff for for Opie and Anthony, that was another bit Norton used to do. If you were in a stall, Norton would finish up whatever he's doing, leave all the sinks running, and then turn the lights
off
off
the
as
lights.
he'd leave. So
That's a
you
good
hear
bit.
water running, you can't see anything, the whole place is dark. So I was like, it's been a long time since I had to deal with
So this
that.
was literally a PTSD situation.
That might just now be the episode title. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, that is
SD.
I mean, any other week, I would say this is a ridiculous situation that you've been in. I mean, earthquakes were happening in New York. A lot of things are going on. I can imagine maybe some panic set in,
Right.
with you in midstream. I still can't understand why you panicked as much as you did.
Well, here's where the panic didn't initially happen from the light going out. The startling did, right? So when I was startled and I turned and I went, "Oh my God, the light's out," and then realized I'm still going while I turned. That's where the panic started happening. I went, "Oh my God," I'm turning it right back to yeah.
Oh crap! This is still going.
You know what it felt like? You know the fight, like the ending scene of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where they're trying to control the hose with
Right,
the
it's just flying everywhere.
what's the judge's fluid called that kills the tunes? Dip, where the dip is spraying and they're like
It's
hanging
slowly
from the
going
chain,
over,
and they're
yeah.
holding their legs up, trying like, "Oh my God, it's going to hit us," and then it goes flying back the other way. That's exactly what it felt like.
Oh man.
Yeah. So there I am, and I'm checking myself because I'm looking down. I'm like, did I piss on my shoes? Did I piss on my pants? Nothing. No, fine. Just it was on some of the walls, the
my
floor.
God.
So now I'm sitting there cleaning everything up because I can't just walk out of there. I've seen people at really well-off, fancy establishments go in and take just destroy a toilet and either don't like courtesy flush,
Right.
or do something to cover it up or air it out or whatever, or flush.
Yeah,
You would think
I've had that
you
moment
think that's
too.
a lowbrow thing you would see at a public toilet somewhere. It happens at high-end establishments too. There's some people who just go in there and don't finish taking care of business.
I've heard horror stories of because in men's rooms it's not exactly the greatest place in the world. Some places are better, some of them are just terrible. I've heard women's restrooms are even worse.
I have
They
to.
just could just destroy things.
I will say this. The places I've worked at in my career for radio stuff and TV stuff, if you happen to be just like within eyeshot or walking past wherever, and you catch a glimpse of when a woman is either walking in and out of the women's room and the door's kind of open,
Yeah.
the women's rooms have always looked way better than the men's rooms.
They looked cleaner, yeah.
Like, I know it's serious, and you could see this at times. It's serious. The bathrooms in the main lobby, the men's room and the women's room doors are facing each other. So if you walk out, somebody can see in that little portion of the area that you walked out from or walked into. Same with the women's room. I've seen in the morning, like later in the morning when everybody else got to work, 9, 10 o'clock or something, if you come out of the bathroom and that women's door is open and someone's going in and out, right immediately, like you don't see the toilets and the sink stuff, but right immediately when the door opens, they have like a table and the makeup lighting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I just came out of a men's room, which is all like steel and tile and gross and cold.
It's industrial.
And these women are going
Lights
in
are
there,
flickering.
and they're like, they've got scented soaps, and I'm sure there's candies and all kinds of, accents and stuff in there. And you just, when that door opened, and you just saw that mirror with the lights, and you go, they have it so much better than we do. But
go ahead.
the rooms that they have might be better, but their habits. Maybe
that's what's the worst is the habits. Now, have you ever had to go to the bathroom so bad that you just weren't paying attention and gone into the women's restroom and just did your business?
No.
I had that happen to me at Costco once.
No,
because Costco, the way they have it set up, it's like just one big opening and then it splits off right and left to men's and women's. And I wasn't paying attention. I had to go to the bathroom. I was like, I got to get my stuff. I went into the stall, didn't even think about looking around. Just went into the stall, did my stuff, got out, started washing my hands, and realized I was washing my hands to two separate women, and then there was someone flushing behind me. And I'm like, I just went to the bathroom in the women's restroom. I felt so embarrassed. Like I had to just
I've never done that. I've never done that. I have watched the men's room to let a woman go in and use the men's room because the women's room might have been out of service or they were cleaning or something in there so they couldn't go in.
Yeah.
And I have done that, I think maybe once or twice in my life. I've stood outside the men's door saying somebody's in there, you have to wait kind of thing. I've never had to go into the women's room except at Compound. The women's room on the floor where the studio is closer than the men's room. The men's room's all the way on the other side of the floor. Because there's not like a lot of businesses left Manhattan and they're not on our floor anymore. Throughout the day, most of the people at Compound just go to the women's room unless we have women guests at Compound. Going to be on the show or any of the shows or something like that. Most of the guys just go right down to the women's room, just pee real quick, and then they leave because they're in and out. They're not like camping out like you would in the men's room. I've done that once or twice because sometimes you go and like, fuck it, I'm not walking all the way down a hallway. I'll just go right over there.
Right. Did you guys ever have like a designated bathroom for worse than just going to the bathroom, like peeing situations?
Like this is a pee bathroom, and that's
like this is the I'm gonna set off World War III.
No, but I know Howard's setup did.
Got it.
There is a bathroom.
Sometimes, like when there's multiple, there's
a bathroom that's right next to. So you come out the side of his studio. He has the hallway where the green rooms are. There's a bathroom right there in that little hallway with the green rooms that you could go, but you were not allowed to go number 2 there. You had to any of that stuff had to go to the main bathrooms in the lobby.
Yeah.
And if you want to look this up, there was an infamous story about somebody exploded in that bathroom near the green rooms that you're not supposed to go there and do that, right? So it became a big investigation with Howard and Howard 100 News and the back office people who went to the bathroom and who exploded. It was on the walls. It was a problem. And it turned out, if you want the spoiler, because it's been 15, 20 years, our old boss, Tim Sabian. Because once he got caught, then he fessed up to it. But otherwise, he said nothing until
he kept quiet. How long did it go on?
I don't remember, but you can look up the whole bathroom saga on YouTube, and where it turns out it was Tim Sabian exploded the toilet. So I know Howard's had that situation. I haven't been in. I don't think I've had another situation unless I was on a tour bus. Tour buses, you can't do that. Right. You have to wait till you get to a hotel or a gas station or something, and you go in there and you do that. But anytime I've been on a tour bus, you were not allowed to do that. I think that's
I'm like that
it.
with airplanes. Like when I know I'm going to fly somewhere, I do my best never to eat food. Like I will drink and I will have to go to the bathroom, but I will not eat anything to cause myself any discomfort, especially if it's a longer flight, to ever go into that bathroom and be the guy that made everyone else's travel the
rare
worst.
time I'll eat before a flight is like if you have to be there super early.
Yeah.
Right. If you have like a 6, 7 a.m. flight and like those are usually going cross country. Like when I had to go to San Diego, when Matt and I would fly to San Diego to do CinemaCon, for the show, we would go like at Newark Airport. They'd have little places that were open for breakfast. So you go there and you would have breakfast because you need something. You're not going to be able to eat for the next 6 hours, so you got to get something. But you got to eat light too, you know. And you can't eat super healthy because if you eat super healthy, you're going to go.
It's just as bad if you're eating the enchilada platter.
That's exactly what I was going to say. If you go the other end where it's all fatty and greasy and stuff, is just as bad as if you're going to eat oatmeal and probiotic yogurts and things like that. So somewhere in the middle is the situation that you need to be in. So I would go and I would just do like eggs and toast, something that binds you a little bit, and then you can sleep it off. You get on the plane, you have a Bloody Mary or something like that, and as David Tell would say, you time travel. You put the blindfold
just
on.
Go to sleep. Yeah.
I put my eye masks on. I put my earbuds in or my headphones, whatever. I have my pillow. And I sleep as long as I can.
I wish I could sleep. I've just never been good at it. And it sucks because when I went to Germany, that was the worst experience flying because it's like everything was smooth. I just couldn't sleep. So I'm just literally watching the sun go down as I'm getting closer to New York. And then the sun rising as I'm getting closer to Ireland. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm like literally watching sunsets and sunrises within hours. I hate it.
Our pal Chris is on there and said, if Eric, Steve, and Steve, who also works at Compound, use the bathroom at Compound within, say, a 10-minute span, it would. Oh, that's terrible. I'm letting you say that. I'm not putting that out for the audio version, but yes, it would be a bit of an issue for everybody.
Well, I'm sorry, Ghost spooked you to dirtying up a nice high-end restroom.
Well, one of the people was a female that was at with the party at the table.
Okay. And
apparently I had not noticed this. When we first got there, she rushed into the bathroom. And
there's only one bathroom in this place?
There's
like single bathroom
type
of thing?
Single bathroom, like a single female, single male.
Okay.
Right?
Got it.
And she had run into the bathroom, which is near the bar section, which is separate from the restaurant. Okay. And she had gone, and I'm telling this story, and then she goes, I was sitting there and the light went out and I didn't know what happened. Now, granted, she didn't have the problem that I had, but she said, the light went out while she was sitting in there. So the bigger concern is, how long are these timers?
Yeah, they really got to work on the timing on that because, I mean, even if you're just going to take a pee, you should at least have
was she
3 to 5 minutes of light.
Right. Was she sitting perfectly still? Was I standing perfectly still enough for that timer to realize, hey, there's nothing going on in this room. Let's turn the lights off?
Because the alternative is that you're sitting there waving your hand, doing like a rodeo bit, trying to keep the lights on while you're doing your business.
I just got to kind of work ridiculous. The hips like I'm doing a hula hoop, And just
we got to know how sensitive the sensor is, though.
I know.
There's a lot of questions.
Or your stomach, because that could help work things out. And you go, all right, now this is becoming a more difficult situation.
Right.
Not happening here.
That's kind of ridiculous. They need a timer.
Our pal Noodles in the chat saying, I used to be a janitor. Trust me, the women's room is just as bad as the men's. We used to have this problem. I think we've talked about we used to talk about it, One Monday morning. So I don't know what happened at Sirius on Sunday night, but it seemed to be the big night for the hip hop shows and the hip hop channels, where they had a bunch of people, at night, overnight, whatever. But on Monday mornings, we would see promotional cards, promotional CD, like the single CDs,
right,
laying there. And then somebody was nesting in the toilet. Like they went so much and there was all this toilet paper, they left it there. And there was toilet paper on the seats and on the side. Like somebody was nesting. And this would happen on Monday mornings when we came in. Now our show started at 6. So, everybody's there between 4:30 and 6. So at some point from 4:30 to 6, when we're all in there and seeing this happen to something, whatever happened Sunday night, people are disgusting. I don't want to know what goes on in the women's room, but if Noodles is correct and saying it's just as bad, that's disgusting. Now, I've seen bathrooms at houses when people have a lot of women living in the houses, younger women, like through junior high school. If I was at a friend's house and they had sisters, the bathrooms are disgusting. Because there was those little foam wedges for like makeup. Mm-hmm. That shit's everywhere. Q-tips, cotton balls. If they had
all their hair appliances are out.
If they had
hair
leggings,
is everywhere.
Leggings were hanging on the shower rods or on the shower head itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a whole to-do. And it's just disgusting. Now, I've seen that, and that's somebody's house, so that's different. That's in your house, it is what it is. You can't get totally freaked out that you're at somebody's house and that's how they live or act or whatever. When you're at a public restaurant, and a pretty high-end restaurant, I'm not saying like super fancy, but, well-to-do.
TGF Fridays, got it.
Yeah. So having the startled incident made me feel bad, but I knew I had to share it because it was so stupid.
You were so shook you couldn't eat your Jack Daniel's steak and shrimp.
Right. What? No. Was I at a Fridays? Is that where I was? I missed
so
that.
good.
I used to like the Jack Daniel's, their chicken, their grilled chicken.
Right. Yeah, so good.
With the
little
loaded
dipping
potatoes
sauce.
and
They had
if you could
green
get the
beans that were
steamed
really
broccoli,
good.
sometimes they did seasonal vegetables, which is garbage.
Just
They-
carrots.
It's
Just
carrots and
extra
like
carrots.
squash, and it's like,
Yeah.
I don't want this. Give me. Do you have green beans? Give me something that I know what I'm eating.
Exactly.
Well,
Summer
look at that.
squash.
Was there anything in the chat was going while we were doing this? So I don't know if we missed anything here. Scrolling back, here's Chris. In my office, we had guys who literally shit on the back of the toilets and smear it on the stall door. Like how? I've seen women's room stalls look like a fucking crime scene. OJ. All right. He's got
Gross.
away with painting a picture, doesn't he?
Yeah, like
He
his
also
medium.
said, we stopped at a Wawa on the way back from BC. I'm guessing
British
British
Columbia.
Columbia. My wife had to use the men's room, but I not only had to watch, I had to tell her it's a goddamn nightmare in there. Oh my God. The Gurk, our pal the Gurk, is in there in the room saying a woman at eBay, because he used to work at eBay. A woman at eBay used the men's room and also didn't notice until she walked out of the stall.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling when you're sitting there, thinking you're completely good. You walk out to go wash your hands, and you look around, and everyone looks different than you, and you're like, oh crap, I'm in the wrong bathroom. Then you have to walk out. My other scared moments is, you're doing your business, you're in a stall, you're sitting there, and I always worry that I'm going to be walking around the store that I just, had my business in, and
Right.
people know what my shoes look like, so they'll see my shoes, be like, oh, that guy was in the
That
bathroom.
happens at a
doing-
radio station a lot. You walk in,
Hate it.
everybody looks down
Such
the
a
shoes,
weird
and then they
feeling.
try to match the shoes, and like,
You're like, oh, those white
"Ew,
kids.
do you know
I know
what
that
they
guy.
did this morning? It's like, why are you
He
bringing?
blew
this
up the bathroom, and then I heard him walk out, no water running, so he didn't wash his hands.
And it's
Ugh,
the very minor time
Uh-huh.
situation, I'll say, very minor situation where the creepiness factor gets ignored and sometimes acceptable to be spying on someone in the bathroom to tell the story of how atrocious the person was being behind the
Yeah.
closed door.
Oh, it's the worst.
Chris saying, let's talk about bathroom etiquette. If you're in an office that has multiple stalls, if you're there, do not strike up a goddamn conversation. It's bad enough. I'm squeezing to not sound like a submarine launching a torpedo, but I am not going to talk Yankees while all right, etiquette, people.
Or get off your cell phone. Like, I don't need to hear business calls. Like, I've heard people have full conversations while they're sitting in there. I'm like, how does the person on the
Is it
other end
both
understand
sides or
what's
is it
going
the
on?
one way?
I don't know. They're just sitting there on their phone and they're talking to somebody.
We've
I
talked
can't-
about how it like stores and supermarket and stuff. They don't use the phone for being a phone. They have FaceTime on, and they're
Oh,
walking
yeah,
around
no.
like this with the
Or
the
speakerphone.
FaceTime on.
And it's like, shut
But
up.
the FaceTime thing is, that's my kid. The FaceTime thing is the problem where the camera's on, so the person's looking up at the ceiling, at the lights fixtures at Target, while the person has the bottom end where the speaker is in their ear,
Yeah.
and walking around and talking like this.
I get it for young kids. Like my daughter's 12. She's got an iPhone. She's learning how to work, be more, phone etiquette wise. She does that where she'll call me on FaceTime, but not like the audio version. And that's fine. It's like, great. I like to see you, kid. And then she'll sit there and do whatever else. She'll have the phone pointed up, but she wants to hear me. I'm like, there's other ways to do this. Like, put me on speakerphone, do something. If that's how you want to do this, great.
Guess what? It's a
Get me
phone.
off the video.
It's a phone.
Right.
Put it
They don't know how to use
your
it.
ear, and this thing here turns your volume up. And talk like this, like you're supposed to, because if it's against your ear, you can hear everything perfectly fine.
Yeah. Get off the phone. in the bathrooms is what I'm saying. It's gross. Conversations, yeah, there's a no talking to me rule, and then there's I don't want to hear what's going on in your life. Like, just do your business and get out. We're
Chris
all
saying-
ashamed. Let's go.
Chris saying cell phones, yes, nothing like trying to be as quiet as you can while you do your duty while someone is playing fucking Sudoku in the next stall.
You know
Come
what, though?
on.
I don't mind. If you're going to play Sudoku, do whatever. That's fine. Don't have a conversation with someone on the other end because, A, they're probably having to hear what you're doing. And second, I'm going to now try to be as loud as possible to be involved in that conversation with you. Get off the I don't care about Sudoku.
Right.
Get off the phone. Because I'll sit there and I'll scroll through shit. But,
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's terrible.
It is.
When you do hear the phone, you do try to make louder noises so that
Yeah, you want to embarrass them.
Because fuck you. You shouldn't be on the phone in there. But it's also weird when you're hearing, Candy Crush or one of those fake phone games being played next to you. There's an
Royal
old
match. I'm like,
there's,
oh, God, stop it.
I want to see if I can find it. There used to be a show called not Boston Public, Boston
Legal?
Legal. Yes.
Yeah, I used to love that show
the
with
James. I did too. The James
James
Spader,
Spader.
William Shatner,
yeah.
and then as the seasons went on, they just got all these old television celebrities to be lawyers in
was
the
awesome.
firm. There was a scene where Denny Craig, who's William Shatner's
I
character,
loved him on that show.
was in court because he was being accused of gay solicitation in a
The
bathroom.
old tap your foot under the stall bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
So while they're trying to go through the court case about this thing, when they get him on the stand, it turns out he's trying to explain it and he's doing the motions and everything. He said no because the size of the gentleman is he needs a wide berth. So, and he goes like this, I need a wide berth. Like he's not even looking at the judge or the court. It's just he's doing this motion where he's making a rounding motion with his hands. Right. And then he's starting to I think he's on the stand and he's just starting to crouch down a little bit and the judge calls it off. And the case got dismissed because they just thought it was so ridiculous and disgusting. What he was actually trying to do was worse than him trying to do the foot tap for gay sex solicitation. Yeah. It's a hilarious show.
Funny.
If you ever get a chance, I think it's only 5 seasons, but Boston Legal is a hilarious show.
It had a big cast too. It ran from 2004
and
to
it's
2008.
not a sitcom. It was written as a legal drama
but
with
it's
a
funny.
lot of humor in it.
Yeah, Spader, William Shatner, Julie Bowen was on there, Lake Bell, Candace Bergen was on that one. Like there was a lot of big names going through that show, and I loved watching it. I think I maybe stopped watching around the 2nd, 3rd season, but it was still so good. All right.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if I can find the clip because of just seeing him doing the whole thing, and then the judge goes, "All right, enough.
Please stop."
All right. So anyway,
That's all right.
that was my little incident. What else?
Did this happen before or after the New York earthquake incident? Was this same day?
This was Wednesday.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was
The earthquake
after all
Monday.
This is after all the stuff happened. If you want to get into that, that's fine. So was it Friday? Friday
It
morning.
was Friday. That's right.
Friday morning. The day the show came out. There was an earthquake.
After we talked about it too.
There was an earthquake here in the New York City area in the Northeast. It was about not a half an hour. It was about 30 miles or so from where I live. The epicenter, if you will, in New Jersey, and it was like a 4.8. Now, wasn't that bad, but it was enough I was sleeping at the time, and it woke me up. And where I live is in a flight pattern. So there's times where you've got low buzzing helicopters, be it police or military, or sometimes even traffic, like the news affiliates and stuff will come out if there's bad traffic.
Right.
95, the Garden State Parkway, anything, major thoroughfares, things like that. So sometimes when you get like the military copters flying over, going towards Newark or Teterboro or wherever they're going, you get that little vibrating a bit, the windows rattle, and it's like 5 seconds and they're gone. This kept going. So this was like 30 seconds, which is not that long, just seemed like a longer time going through it. So I'm checking with other people in the house, and everyone's saying that No, I think it's just, something flew by or whatever. I was like, no, that didn't flow by. It was going on too long. So I'm looking around. I'm trying to see, sometimes I'm not far from a fire department. So if they go roaring by, the fire trucks going and everything shakes because they're going full speed. None of that was happening. No trucks, nothing. So I said, all right, it's probably an earthquake. Let me look on Twitter. And lo and behold, it was an earthquake. Now, Jordan I said, hey, guess what? We just got an earthquake. And he said, oh, so you kind of, foretold
Basically
this
willed
happening.
it, yeah.
Because that show, we had talked about the previous earthquake that we had in New York, which was around a decade ago, maybe even longer, where I was coming out of the elevators with Roland and our old one of our old bosses, Rob Cross, and we're walking the hallway out of the elevator up into Sirius, and it's like we're walking on an angle because the building is swaying, like if you're on the top of a cruise ship or something, right? So then this thing happens. People are going crazy, going nuts, and it's like nothing happened. It was a 4.8. It was enough to shake everything, but nothing was damaged. Nothing broke. It wasn't that big a deal. But the news and everything, they were cutting in with live programming and all this other stuff. It was going on all day. They were talking about the earthquake. And then about 6 p.m. Eastern time, we had been getting, I guess, aftershocks, but it was nothing you would even feel because they were like twos.
Most of them don't register, yeah.
Around 6 p.m., a 4.0 hit, and you felt the little vibration again, but that was it. No big deal. But the news cut in again. Another aftershock. So by Saturday morning, something like that, it's like we had 27 aftershocks. I'm like, I felt one. So it's not that big a deal. Now, you have friends from California who are sending notes and laughing like, oh, it's like that's nothing. Wait till you get a real thing out there. And I said to people, you freak out the second it rains, and you've been getting blizzards the last few years out there,
right?
And you can't figure out how to handle that. So it's a nice trade-off. We got a very minor earthquake, and you're getting dozens of feet of snow that are just ruining your infrastructure out there. So,
well, the thing is, it was minor. I mean, as far as like size-wise, it was very minor compared to some of the other ones, but it was the biggest earthquake I think that area, especially New Jersey, has felt in 240 years. So, I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, it's not something that happens every day. It's not happens every year. I mean, you may not see one for 5 decades again.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's enough to, I think, interject a little now and then and talk about. I think whenever weather happens or incidents happen, people always take it one step too far. When it rains here in Arizona, it's like the second coming. Like, that's all they report on. Yeah. Watch out, it's raining. And then, no one knows how to drive in it. No one knows what the hell's going on. It's the same thing. It's ridiculous.
The only good thing I got out of this earthquake, because there was no point to it, was watching some of the reports that they had on when they had on seismologists and other earthquake experts. Ones from
U.S. Geological.
Yeah, the geologists and other experts from like California and stuff that were talking about safety and provisions and all that other shit. This part was interesting. So someone had asked, is like, why is it like a 4.85 on the East Coast goes further and affects more than a 4 point whatever and 5 on the West Coast? And it turns out because the West Coast, that fault line is so used to activity, the ground is technically softer, so it's meant to move
shifted
with all this stuff. Where over here, it's limestone, which is almost like permanent cement. And it's not meant to have any sort of give. So when something hits, they were saying like they felt it from like DC up to Boston. Mm-hmm. Or up to Maine or some that it's like for something so small shouldn't have had that far reach, but the like that I didn't know, and that I found interesting, the science of it, not the fact that people were like, I found a crack in my basement and I don't know what to do. I don't care, but the science stuff towards it, where on the East Coast, because you're right, it doesn't happen out here, and I was more interested in watching those reports, and then I went online. That's what I do when I see stuff on the news, or it's like I'm going to go read up on this more. I do more reading and studying and everything than I ever did in high school or even in college.
Right.
In the last 20 years, whenever something comes up and I go, you know what? I want to do a bit of a dive. I want to go look up some of these things and learn about it, read about it. There's no need. It's not going to affect my life or my career
never
or
use it
anything.
again, yeah.
But I like to know. I like to know stuff. So after seeing that, I'm like, oh, really? The East Coast is a lot more solid under the crust than the West Coast. And I went and I read up on it, and I was like, wow, that's fascinating. Thank you,
Well, you gotta
Earthquake.
think
I learned something.
A lot of the buildings aren't built for those sort of things because, like,
No.
Japan and
that was one of the concerns where the news is just terrible.
Right.
Where they brought that up and goes, the stuff in Manhattan is not built to have that kind of give, and there's no center pillar system, like a lot of the buildings in LA.
Because some of the ones, their foundations are built on these rolling. It's almost like they roll. So like when it moves, the building's moving with the swaying. So you're right. It's not stiff. So you're not getting a lot of the pressure.
Right.
So it's swaying back and forth. I would think with the tall buildings, they're built to sway, especially when you get really tall and you get the wind and stuff like that.
That's like for massive storm. That's for like hurricane winds. They're meant to withstand that.
But when you get down lower, they're not built for that sort of thing. That was my worry for those.
All of Manhattan is limestone.
Yeah.
Under there. So not limestone. Limestone's soft. Keystone? I don't remember.
It's a beer.
Whatever the rock formation is under the Northeast is meant to not move and do anything. It's meant to just be sturdy. So and that's why there's certain portions of Manhattan where you can't put up buildings taller than a certain height because the ground is softer. But then you go to other areas like downtown, that's why they have giant buildings. Midtown, there's giant buildings, but between Midtown and downtown, a lot of smaller buildings because the ground can't handle all of that stuff. So they were doing all that too on the news. It's like, well, if something higher than this happened, what would happen to the Empire State Building? What would happen to the Statue of Liberty? What would happen?
Yeah, I hate with the what would happen stuff. Because it's like, okay, stop throwing the doom and gloom. Yeah.
It's like,
my favorite.
We got to fill the time and say, yeah. How about news stories? You don't need the earthquake came and went. It's not doing much. Move on.
My favorite bit is when it all happened. 45 minutes later, you get the warning.
Oh,
and I'm like,
yes.
Oh my god! Like that's crazy that it took that long to tell you about it.
I forgot all about that. You're right. So
because obviously you can't predict them when they're happening, so you're not going to get it like, oh my god, here it comes, like a tornado or something like that. But 45 minutes later seems kind of like a ridiculous time frame to warn you about something that's already long since happened.
40 minutes after the earthquake happened. Phone. Now here's what else is interesting. It was a New York City alert, not like a New York State alert.
Mm-hmm.
I got it. I guess I was close enough to New York that I got it. But other phones in my household or my neighbors didn't get it. So I don't know how that worked where I got the alert and they didn't. But it said emergency alert, 4.7 magnitude. I already got that wrong. It was 4.8. 4.7 magnitude earthquake has occurred in the New York City area. Residents are advised to remain indoors and call 911 if injured. More information, click this link. So I put that up on my Facebook and I was just like, 40 minutes after this thing. And people from California were telling me, well, that's meant to keep people safe in the case of aftershocks. And I went and looked and I saw people who had posted screenshots from their alerts from West Coast things. And it says, beware of aftershocks, stay indoors, whatever. This was not to warn you of aftershocks. This was like, oh shit, should we hit this? Should we not? I don't know what to do. Do we hit it? And then they did.
It's like a big red button that's covered in dust. They're like, we've never had to use this.
Yeah.
All right. It's all old writing. No one knows how to talk about it accurately.
Yeah. So, all right. So the earthquake came and went. It was another talking point, but then, the news cycle is not even a 24-hour news cycle anymore. It goes so fast because Saturday they were all looking forward towards the eclipse. And then the eclipse came and I went out like everybody else. I looked at it. If you don't have the glasses, it got a bit dark. Not like perfect night because we weren't in the line of total darkness for it in New York. But I went on the corner of 34th, right next to Madison Square Garden in Penn Station. I went and looked up, had the special little glasses thing. I saw it, looked kind of cool. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'll wait for better footage to show up online later.
It's kind of how I was there.
And then I walked back in. Now, I saw people who were going way too hard into the excitement of this thing. And then I saw people who were shitting on the people going out to look at this stuff. And I was just like, you know what? This doesn't make any sense. It's a big celestial event. It's okay if you went out there and were excited to go and look at it.
I kept my kid
it's
home
totally
because
fine.
they weren't.
And we
they
love
weren't gonna
shitting
do
on
anything.
these kind of group think mentality things where people go out and do something stupid, like go out and get the Stanley Cups from Target. Yeah, you're an
Right.
idiot. But going out to see the eclipse and go, wow, that was pretty cool. That was totally fine. I got to
Like,
run
I'm
and
fine
get
for
something.
science.
You talk about the eclipse. I'll be right back.
My thing is that here in Arizona, we only got about 65% totality. So like it started off kind of low, crested over the bottom of the sun and stuff like that. Now it's cool. The last eclipse kind of did the same thing here in Arizona, so we didn't really quite get the hype of it. It kind of went south of us through Mexico up through Texas. I had friends going to travel for this thing, which from what I hear might have been worth it. But you know, I wasn't going to go out of my way. Our pal Gittles, he traveled from New York and he went to Vermont, I believe. And he got to actually experience what it felt like to go through the full totality of it. And the way he described it sounded amazing. I'm not going to give people a hard time for doing this. When you make it too much about yourself, that's when I have an issue. But I mean, this is a world event. This is not going to happen in the U.S. probably for another 20 years. I'll be long dead, God hoping. I think the next one is 2026, and that's going to be like in Spain. But, you know, go out and have fun. Enjoy science. You know, science can be a fun thing. This is really cool. It's not some God-fearing thing. It's not some weird stuff. You know, it was cool to see. And I got to share it with my kid. I kept him home because I think last week we were talking about how some of the schools in my area were going to take precautions in keeping the kids in. And it was weird because growing up, they always kind of made these things kind of a bigger deal. And, you know, you make your pinhole cameras. You get the glasses and you go out and you take a look and you experience these things and you learn something and you do something with your, you know, in school. This time they were keeping kids in. And, you know, I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? This is not going to happen for 20 years. My kid is 8. You know, he's not going to see it till he's almost 30. I'm going to keep him home, check it out. And of course, like every 8-year-old, it was cool. I'm going to go back in and play video games. So I think there's got to be kind of a middle ground where they, you know, you got to be a little bit older to appreciate some of these things before, you know, you start losing that luster. Like I was excited and it's, you know, it's fine. Bartholomew in the chat is basically saying they kept us inside the school 30 years ago too. See, yeah, I never had that experience. They always kind of made it a big deal. I went to a lot of my elementary stuff in California, and they kind of helped talk about some of the stuff, and they did the pinhole camera stuff. I never built one as I got older. I just always got the glasses. So it was one of those things where, you know, now that I can buy glasses, it was just a lot easier. It was cool to kind of show how when the eclipse went over, if you look through the leaves of a tree, it kind of made the shadows on the ground. That was really cool because it was like having your own pinhole camera without actually having to have a pinhole camera. Let's see here. What else we got? I'm going to wait till Erik comes back to talk about that one. But yeah, I was just going to see, here's Gittles. It was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Go see one if you can. Well, the next one is 2026 in, I think Spain is going to have, I think the best viewing. The next one in the U.S. is going to be 2044. And from what I read, it's going to be, the best viewing is going to be like Montana, Wyoming area, which couldn't be a bad thing. Hi, Eric.
Hey, sorry about
Gittles
that.
popped in. He said,
it
yeah, let's see. Where was his comment? He was just here. There we go. Greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, Gittles is all about the eclipse. I saw his 4-page review.
He wrote
on
a
Facebook.
whole he was writing a thesis for college.
This was
one.
a religious experience for him.
And
I'm glad it was. I mean, I don't
I'm
think
very
I
excited
would
for
feel
him.
that way, but I was like, he never goes on and on about something to that
the way
extent.
he described it, it was the way that I was kind of reading some of the accounts throughout, in the Texas area where they were saying, yeah, it was weird. It was just got real dark. Temperatures just dropped about 15 degrees. And it was just this weird feeling that, it's noon and it's pitch black.
Yeah.
And you see the lights from the city and the lights from the cars or lights from everyone's cameras out trying to do this stuff. I think this time around, I didn't realize that once the sun is completely blocked, even though you're going to see a little bit of a ring, you can take those glasses off and look.
You're not
That
supposed
seems scary.
to. You're not supposed to. But you saw all the news clips and all the footage. It's like, okay, no, you
Take
got
them
it.
off.
And then everyone's hooking off and they're looking like, oh my God, it's amazing. Everyone's going to sneak a peek to look to see that the sun's fully blocked and it's almost nighttime, but you see the rays shooting out around it. Mm-hmm. But then that only lasts for a couple of moments. Then it quickly moves and it will mess up your eyes again.
You're like,
So, yeah, it was just when on those glasses too, anywhere you get those glasses, there's a warning on there saying, do not look directly at the eclipse, do not look directly at the sun, what have you.
And they say, don't do it for longer than 3 minutes. Don't sit there and stare. Look at it for a second.
At the sun
neat.
for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Let's stare at the sun for 3 minutes before the eclipse comes in there, just to get some practice in.
Again, when there's a warning that specific, that means someone did that.
Right.
It's like, don't do it for 2 minutes and 59 seconds.
Human beings
Clearly,
do that. They're like, what's that? And then their eyes
the
are
sun
gone.
going down? I could see, though, I was thinking about it, and the way, some of the footage looked and some of the things that, Gittles posted and the way he talks about it, I can see back when, you're sitting there and unsure about how the world is, unsure about, your place in the universe, and then the sun goes away in the middle of the day. That could be a little jarring. Well, and he was describing it as the birds and the animals are freaking out.
There's two situations where you can sort of experience that. One is if a hurricane's coming, because the sun, if it hits you during the day, the sun's gone pretty much.
Right.
So you have that. Number two, if you go and venture up north of the Arctic line to Norway, Sweden, something like that, and seeing the fact that it's nighttime 6 months of the year.
The sun goes away for months.
Well, it goes away, but during what is technically the daytime, on the horizon, you're getting the beams of light from the sun.
Gotcha.
So it looks like 5:40 in the morning for the entire day. The sunrise is about to crest over the horizon, but it never does. And then it's pitch black again, by the afternoon and evening. So if you want to go and try to experience that out, because that's something else I want to do with my life. I want to go up to the Arctic Circle. I want to go see the Aurora Borealis.
I want to see the Northern Lights. Yeah.
And it's not just, in Skinner's kitchen, at that particular time of day, that particular time of year. Can I see it? No, you can't. All right.
No,
then I'll have to go north.
Steamed hams.
I'll have to rally north and go up to the Arctic lines of Norway, Sweden, Finland, I think. Is that the third country that's joined together?
Yeah, all in that area.
All in that there? Yeah, I want to do that. I want to go up there and during that time see what it's like. Stay for a day or two. Just walk around during the day and it's pitch black out. That'd be kind of weird to experience. It'd be fun. I wouldn't want to live there. I'd think I'd go insane.
I think I would go nuts too.
But that would also be what space is like.
I always think I could handle it. And then it'd just be no, I don't want this. No. And then I complain that it's too sunny out here in Arizona. So I need a better middle ground.
So I want to show you some things.
Okay.
We talked about how the news was going crazy with the eclipse.
They were.
So I want to show you a couple of things here. This is a clip from Fox News as they're covering the eclipse as it's happening here. Now they're showing kids. I don't know if it's a school setting or if it's just people setting up their They're telescopes in a way with those filters where
I have one of those.
They have it projecting the light out, and you put it on a piece of paper. So you're looking this way to see the lunar eclipse, the solar eclipse on the paper instead of looking directly up
Yeah,
at
it's a
it.
pinhole camera, yeah.
Something like that, right? But it's expensive equipment, what they have there. So I want to show you this, and tell me what you think.
You see a better chance of seeing totality, at least as you run through North Texas, ultimately into
All right,
Arkansas,
see, there's the
and then you
kid.
run into the Midwest.
Uh-oh.
The forecast is absolutely gorgeous. Completely clear skies for now across most of southern Illinois.
What kind of telescope is that,
The
though?
forecast is looking quite nice.
That is,
Totality
what is it?
Indianapolis.
Oh,
What the?
Oh, that kid's
just happened
that.
right
Yeah,
there?
he lost all his.
from
No,
what?
you don't do that, bro. That poor kid.
I can't believe we're laughing.
Because here's the thing,
Doug, he's
that's
in
glass.
front or
I mean, that's a
something.
mirror being shut back. So it was probably like one of those magnifying glass
is that the
situations
thing
where it
where
was
straight up
hot
in the
coming
sun?
back that
You're
way
burning
too.
the ant is exactly what it is.
Oh, that sucks. Poor kid.
Yeah.
I have I have a telescope kind of like that, but I have a solar filter on it. So you place the solar filter where he was
Yeah.
looking in, and you can use the eyepiece just to look right at the sun. Like I've been watching the sun during the day
We're going to look at this again.
and stuff like that. But
Watch
oh,
him.
poor Luke.
He's trying to show off, I want to get
He's doing
in
the
there.
pinhole thing, and he's trying to get right in there, just right in there. Oh, how embarrassing for
kid.
him! Because he knew that camera was watching him too. He made plenty of attempts to like, oh, what are they doing? And then just burned. Here we go.
Look, he's showing off for the news thing, and he has to go to school the next day, and
Watch
everyone's
that all,
laughing
Luke.
at him like,
Where'd you
look,
get your
at,
eye patch?
yeah, look at the stupid kid who burned himself. Remember when they were telling you about not looking at the sun and how to do all this stuff? Look what stupid did over here. He goes to my
Oh, man.
school.
Ugh, that's too funny. That poor kid.
So that's number one. So that's number one of weird things that happened during the eclipse. Number two is apparently, if Gabby's still in the room here, some news network down in Mexico wound up airing something that wasn't the eclipse.
I haven't seen this.
Okay, so let's see if okay, it does have audio here. All right, I'll bring the audio up. Here we go.
Monclova, Musquis, donde está tu familia, Piedras Negras y Acuña, esto en el estado de Coahuila. Serían los municipios donde más se podría
Now here's what's funny. They showed
That's
some
good.
video of a guy's putting his testicles out over a mirror that was reflecting the eclipse. So somebody didn't do their due diligence and research to like, oh, this is a solar eclipse clip we got off
Like they just had to watch it 3 more seconds, and they would have known that this was not good footage.
Yeah, but I want to point this out, not the man's balls, but see, all right, so there's the eclipse.
Monclova, Musquis,
Right.
donde está tu familia.
And there's this thing here, it zooms in.
Oh,
Now,
they got pretty
I
far
saw
in.
the uncensored version, and you just see like balls laying on a mirror as it slowly is pulling back, right? And then they cut off. What is interesting is showing you not only is the people behind the scenes that are running this thing not paying attention to the clips that they're picking and airing, right?
Y Acuña.
Look at this. This
Yeah,
girl's
she's
on
on
her
her
phone.
phone.
This guy's looking, I guess, at his teleprompter or his notes of what to talk about, read next. She's the only
She's
one watching
distraught.
the monitors. Watch what she does.
Esto en el estado de Coahuila.
She knows, like, I don't know what the governing bodies are down in Mexico, but I know if, like, you were here in the FCC, so
Oh, you get in trouble.
they're like, she knows, like, we're fired or somebody's fired. What the hell happened? Now,
put
maybe
this
they
on,
aren't
yeah.
fired because they're the reporters or the anchors and they're talking about it. Somebody in the control room is
It was a
definitely
producer
fired.
issue, yeah.
And the director's fired for not screening that too. But she's the only one that jumps. Look at the mid guy. This one's on the phone. She puts her phone down like, what's everybody talking about there? Look at him.
Coahuila. Serían los municipios donde más se podría
He's still
apreciar.
talking about the thing. He's like, yeah, with the eclipse, like he's trying to rattle off knowledge or whatever copy he read that he thinks is making him sound intelligent and smart. The blonde girl to the left is the only one that knows exactly what happened here. So, what is
so funny.
RCG's Media 24/7 news program was presenting clips submitted by fans experiencing the celestial phenomenon, only to fall prey to the well-known prank in Latin America. I was
Okay,
not
so-
aware that showing your balls is a well-known prank in Latin America.
Gabby in the chat says that's very old footage too. Like every single eclipse, that video goes around everywhere. The guy actually thanks the amateur video sent by the audience. That's how much he was not paying attention. Wow.
Wow, indeed.
Oh, someone's abuela just had a heart attack.
As an anchor listed cities from where the eclipse could be seen, the footage presented on the left side of the screen cut to a man blocking out a lamplight with his testicles.
What's great is that apparently it's well known, so you got to know that during an eclipse that's happening in the area, you got to be ready for this.
Yeah.
Like if that's just circling the drain there, oh man, that is hilarious.
One of the two female anchors could be heard gasping in shock, which we saw, while her male colleague carried on, ignoring the obscene image. Yeah, and the other tart here on the right is on her phone, not paying attention to the job she's doing. Nonetheless, the testicles that just appeared on the screen, she's not even paying attention to the job at hand.
She probably thought she had another minute of footage being submitted, but they had to cut away from the man's testicles. Oh, that is too funny.
Ridiculous. All right. Well,
super good.
So the eclipse happened, the earthquake happened, Wrestlemania happened this weekend.
Wrestlemania.
There has never been more wrestling in a 4-day concentration than I saw this past weekend. Friday, you had SmackDown. Then you had immediately right after that, the Hall of Fame. All through the weekend, they had the WWE fan experience where you were seeing clips and footage online about that stuff going on, meet and greets, all the stuff that they do the week leading up to WrestleMania. Saturday night, they had part one, day one of WrestleMania, and that was like 6 hours.
Yeah.
Then day two was on Sunday. Then Monday was the Raw, which is now another of unofficial wrestling holiday. The Raw after WrestleMania has been a tradition forever. And because the audiences for the Raw after WrestleMania are batshit crazy because they're all the foreign fans that don't get to go to a WWE event because up until this year or last year even, WWE didn't do live TV stuff over in Europe and other places. Unless there was a special exception, they didn't do pay-per-views over there. They didn't do Raw. Like Raw would do stuff in London once in a while.
Yeah.
But they weren't in France. They're not in Spain. They're not
Australia now.
All that stuff. They weren't doing any of that stuff. They would have their live house shows. But it would just be the wrestlers would come out and wrestle and you get a chance to see the wrestlers, but there was no TV element to it, no pay-per-view element, nothing. Oh, it's not pay-per-view anymore, live event elements to it. They are doing that now. Like they just had the pay-per-view before, why do I keep saying pay-per-view? The live event.
It's just in the
It's such an old, it's ingrained. The live event before WrestleMania was down in Perth for the Elimination Chamber. And the next one is in France. For I don't know, I forgot what it's called. I don't know if it's I forgot what the next event's called, but it's in France. In SummerSlam's in Germany I think it's in Berlin this summer. Like I think it's great that they're going around and finally doing this.
Yeah.
Now
it broadens I think it's Backlash is going to be there.
What drives a lot of American wrestling fans nuts is when they were on in Perth, the thing was on in like 5 a.m. here, you know? So you got to get, it's unfortunate when you go outside of the North America area that you have to be privy to the time frame that they're going to be broadcasting from. It'll be interesting to see what happens with like Berlin and with France, because either they got to start like midday just to get it. Start early evening to get it midday in the United States. Or if they're going to cater to the United States, 6, 7, 8 p.m. Eastern normal broadcast schedule for what they do, it's going to be like midnight over there. So I don't know how this is going to work. It's probably going to be a day thing or who knows.
Do you think they would do it live here? Like, do you think they would really do that? Because, the Olympics are all time delayed when they're in a different country and they're not here. You're watching.
Yes and no. You can live stream the Olympics as it happens. America,
right, but you have to be up at 2 a.m. watching skiing.
NBC, not America, but NBC has repackaged this stuff for prime time from 8 to 11, where they give you the most necessary events to watch or the highlights of other things that happen. And they have wraparound, like Bob Costas used to be the anchor for all of that. And you'd have the wraparound packages and you would see the men's swimming, the women's gymnastics, men's basketball team, all the important to America events you would see as full length in that primetime block. And then they would show you highlights of other things that were going on as well. The WWE broadcasts on Peacock here in the United States and I think Canada. It's the WWE network exists everywhere else in the world, just not in North America. And they stream it live because I went and checked and I saw that it was going to be live on Peacock while they were in Perth. And I said, I'll just wait till the broadcast's done. I'll stay off social media and then I'll watch it like at 1 p.m. when I get up. I'll just go into the living room and watch it there on the replay. That's good enough for me. I don't need to be there to watch it live. It'd be nice if I could. Like I watched Wrestlemania live, but it'll be what it is.
That's one thing about the replay I was actually kind of upset about. So Saturday night we watch it. I wasn't planning on really getting into it. I haven't really watched wrestling in years. Like I haven't. I know some of the storylines. I know kind of the stuff that you've talked about. Some of the big headlines, things like that. But I thought, you know what? It's already on Peacock. I have easy access. I'm not doing a pay-per-view. I can tune in. I'm already, there. So, for the show, I said, I'm going to keep an eye on things, see what's going on. And I got hooked in. Like I was watching it. I was into it. I got my kid into it. He had never watched wrestling before. So he was at some point, I think Sunday night during the show, in one of the matches, at some point he's shirt off, running around the living room doing mode. I'm like, this is exactly how I was when I was little. It was so surreal seeing it play out the same way it happened to me.
Well, that's what WWE is good at.
Yeah.
Or they're back to being good at, I'll say. They used to be good at it, then they weren't good at it for a while. Now they're back to being good at it. They've got sort of that thing where it's, how they always say the Disney magic, where you could not watch Disney movies forever. But if you catch one, if you have a kid or a girlfriend, it sucks you back in. And then you're like, all right, I'm kind of in again. That's what WWE does. Now, like you said, I hadn't watched it in years because it really, during the latter end of the PG era and stuff, was terrible. Like it was boring. I didn't care about the stories. But something happened, I guess, with the pandemic when they were going in new directions because they had no live audience. No, they had to come up with weird and bizarre things, and then when they
really story driven, like it was like soap operas,
right? You couldn't just
that point
like feed off the crowd and go with the crowd direction. You had to come up with new shit, and then when Vince stepped away and Hunter got to take over and stuff, the last several months you're watching something like that's really cool. I like what they're doing here, and they've also figured out a way to keep it sort of PG family friendly for TV, but bring the old Attitude Era TVM adult feeling back to it because they put out clips or they'll continue live on social media streaming or like The Rock's Twitter where he's cursing and doing all this stuff because he's a bad guy now and he's going full heel on this thing that he has to. You can't sugarcoat him being like a PG bad guy because then it's not believable. He went so far, which was amazing for him to do because he has that reputation where he's beloved by almost everybody, and he's Disney. He's Disney royalty because of Maui.
He's promoting the new Moana right now as we speak at CinemaCon.
Right. They've got the live action Moana coming, and then they got Moana 2, which has now been revealed that him and the actress who plays Moana are coming back for the sequel. So he's got a lot of family stuff that he needs to keep a certain image for. But keeping it on TV, but using his social media where he's talking shit. And he's showing blood, and he's doing all this stuff here.
He was literally talking shit to the wife of Dusty Rhodes, like Cody's mom. Like he's like yelling at her in the audience. I'm gonna fucking.
And it was amazing.
You put blood all of it.
It was amazing how they were coming up with all of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that they figured out, or maybe not even figured out, they were allowed because Vince wasn't overseeing stuff anymore. Hey, we're going to do more stuff on social media. That's still tied to the storyline for television, but we're going to do these little offshoot branches and keep things going. And it worked. You saw stuff from Roman Reigns. You saw stuff from Paul Heyman. You saw stuff from Cody online. Logan Paul, if you don't know who he is.
I hate the guy, but man,
very
fine.
famous influencer. He has a what's his Impulsive is his
Prime.
podcast. He owns the company that had those Prime bottles. If you have kids, you've probably seen the Prime bottle things. That's his company.
Yeah.
Look, the guy's smart enough to. You may not like his content, but he's smart enough to figure out how to make everything
He
work.
knows how to market himself.
Right.
For sure.
So he's still the United States champion, and he's been for a while. And you'd figured this was just going to be a gimmick leading up to WrestleMania, and they hand off the belt to a real wrestler.
I really did.
But they kept it on him. And look, every time he's wrestled, he hasn't fucked up. Like, he hasn't screwed up from not knowing how to wrestle or not being professional or anything
No,
like
he
that.
takes
You've seen
hits.
wrestlers screw up, but that's because they screwed up a move or the motion or something like that. It happens. But he hasn't done any of that stuff. And he's been really good. And a lot of the people who were critical of him coming into the company, wrestlers, and that work there, have all turned and go, look, he puts in the work. He's good at what he does. He's protecting the people that they're fighting so that they don't get hurt. He knows what he's doing. It's bringing millions of dollars into the company and millions of eyeballs onto the product. So,
I mean, the ring itself was branded Prime right in the middle. They had the bottles on the sideline near the broadcast tables. I mean,
I will say this with
the whole thing
with the branding. So they've got LED panels on the ring poles now. So
oh my God! This was
when
great.
Rey Mysterio and the Latino World Order matches were happening. They had Spanish style advertising that
I rewatched
that
it.
Minute Maid Agua Fresca, which I guess is marketed more towards like a Latin culture.
Yeah.
Was all present around the ring, the walls, the posts, everything for that match. I was like, that's kind of cool. I get that, I mean, it's a little funny.
Slim Jim stuff for LA Knight,
right? The Slim Jim stuff, because he's the spokesperson for that. So it made sense. Like, wow, they could change this up. It's becoming NASCAR. It's becoming UFC. It's becoming all of that stuff. But they're making money. But they're fitting the branding to what the matches are, right? So that's more creative ways to bring money in. What didn't make sense, but was hilarious, is the first match on the first night was the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch. The ads were for dude wipes.
I laughed so
And
hard.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, this makes no sense. But
You told me about it, and I went back to watch the replay because I had missed the Rey Mysterio stuff because I wanted to see Jason Kelsey come out in the Luchador stuff.
Right.
And then I ended up watching the Rhea Ripley one, and I'm just like laughing, just watching it. The dude wipes branding. I'm like, how out of I guess it's fine for the audience. They're the ones watching, it skews heavily toward the male audience. We get it. So sure, if your eyes are there, that's what makes sense. It just didn't make sense in the context of you're marketing the Latino brand stuff during the Latino matches. Why are you doing dude wipes during the world heavyweight
I told you,
for
I'm
the
like,
women?
well,
And it was
what would
hilarious.
have probably been worse if it was female-oriented, like maxi pads, or
hilarious.
Summer's Eve, or whatever those magic wand things that they say are back massagers, but we know what women are using them for. Like if it was something along
Could you
those
imagine?
lines, could you believe WWE had these ads up on the ring while the ladies' World Heavyweight Championship match?
So there's no
on?
winning, really. There's just no winning in either sense.
No, but then
So funny, though.
you would get criticized if it was too female, almost mocking in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you put like Hello Kitty or Minnie Mouse or something on there, it's like that's belittling what women are trying to accomplish.
We put shake
I
and
don't
bake
know
because
what,
women belong in the kitchen anyway.
I don't know what, unless you put
I don't know.
not Coca-Cola. Mountain Dew, I think, is a regular sponsor
Are they?
there. So if you put Mountain Dew up there, I guess
So it kind of appeals to either or, yeah.
that's fine, or Pepsi, something like that. But yeah, if you're doing like if their ads are now going to be like algorithm
Specific to,
AI
yeah.
generated based on their sponsors for whatever the match is going on here. That'd be interesting to see going forward, but who knows? Anyway, WrestleMania was a huge success, number 40.
It was, super fun.
The 2-night attendance combination was like 150,000 people.
Like 75 and some change the first night, and then I think second night was a little bit less because they were advertising that they still had some tickets. But yeah, for the most part, it was almost sold out 2 nights in a row. close to 75 each. So yeah, about 150,000.
They broke records for the stadium.
Huge.
For that. Raw broke records because
they had it in Philadelphia.
The arena that they
night,
use, wherever the 76ers play, I think.
Got it.
That's where they had SmackDown. That's where they had Hall of Fame. That's where they had Raw.
Okay.
And
so they just took over Philly for like 4 days.
Well, they take over
5
every
days.
city they're in for WrestleMania week. It's gotten so much to the like their influence has gotten so incredible for WrestleMania week that other promotions now go and set up shop in whatever city WrestleMania is happening. They have their own events there. They have their own signings. Like TNA Impact would have stuff there. Ring of Honor would have stuff there. Smaller promotions. Signings, like you would go to a Comic-Con, would have stuff there. Like everybody in the wrestling world comes to wherever WrestleMania is that week, and they all set up shop around that. And it got to the point where like WWE's like, well, why are we letting them make all the money for all these extracurricular shit that while we're there, let's just start doing it ourselves. And they did that with fan experience, and like they go out to schools and charitable events, and they're on TV all over locally for the city, radio stations. They just they got it down. They know how to do marketing.
Well, it's because the Super Bowl, leading up to the Super Bowl, it's chaos for a whole week. Like Super Bowl Sunday is big, but there's, like you said, events throughout the week in the city that they're in. Like they were just out here, I think last year for all that stuff. So it was, it's always crazy. Is WrestleMania their version of the Super Bowl? Because like, how does SummerSlam, how do some of these other events hold up?
WrestleMania is their Super Bowl.
To it?
Yeah, SummerSlam is like, technically, Royal Rumble is their second biggest event, but the SummerSlam is now becoming their second biggest event because they're making it a WrestleMania Junior, if you will. It's still a big spectacle. They're starting to do SummerSlam in outdoor arenas, not arenas, stadiums, and stuff.
Stadiums, things.
They're not doing Royal Rumble, at least if not that I'm aware of. They're not doing there. But it's also because that deal they made like 5 years ago with Saudi Arabia.
Right.
They started doing an event once a year called Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia, where it's a big, giant, I guess it's their soccer stadium, their massive stadium down there in Saudi Arabia that they do the WWE event for. It's the big outdoor setting and all that stuff. So now that they know they can command that kind of audience for certain live events, they started doing more outdoor stuff. So SummerSlam's also a thing now that they do outside. You're seeing less and less pay-per-views in an arena. Like the days where you would see WrestleMania or something like that, it's like, we've got 25,000 people sold out. That's nothing now.
Yeah.
That's a Raw. That's a SmackDown. That's an NXT pay-per-view or something. Now they go and they do the giant stadiums to bring in the most people. But kudos to them. There was nobody not talking about WrestleMania. It was on every timeline. The local news here in New York was even covering it.
Yeah.
About some of the fan events and stuff that were going on in New Jersey and it was just insane. Like I've seen it be big, but I've never seen it this big, and they've really outdone themselves.
I'm not going to say, even on the outside of things, not being as invested in wrestling as it were, this was probably the biggest, most talked about thing I've seen in that world in a very long time.
Right.
So much so that, like I said, I got my kids started getting into it to where I went back and showed them like some of the old Attitude Era stuff, the Hell in the Cell matches, the Mankind versus Kane and Undertaker type stuff. Like just going back, because here's the thing, like my kid not into wrestling. In that last match on Sunday night, when you got Cody fighting Roman Reigns,
right,
and then all of a sudden things start going, the Usos start coming out, and then you've got Solo coming out, and then The Rock comes out, and you're like, okay, something's got to happen, right? And then all of a sudden, John Cena comes out before The Rock, but my kid knows John Cena from the 1,000 other things John Cena's been involved in now. He knows The Rock from the 1,000 other things The Rock has been done. So now you've got these guys that have branched out. The Hollywood strike happened, so they came back.
Right.
And now they're back into some storyline stuff. And you just brought in, I'm sure my kid is not the only one that knows these guys from outside influences, says, okay, I know that guy. And the scary thing is my kid knows I Show Speed, who was Logan Paul's partner for Prime.
I had no idea who that was, but
no idea. I seen him, but I didn't know his name. And I knew the second that stupid Prime bottle was sitting on the sideline just dancing away, I'm like, that's got to be someone's in there. Someone. And me and Scott. So we're Sunday night. We were recording our other show for the, I'll watch it later. And we're watching, so we had it on the background. So we're talking about our movies, but me and Scott every now and then kept looking back to see what was going on in the matches. And during that match, we're sitting there watching going, someone's in that suit. Someone is in there, because Scott was into it the same time I was during like the 80s and 90s and all that stuff. So we were just like 45-year-old men just like pumping our fists how excited we are about this sort. And it was like ridiculous how happy I was watching this.
Right.
And I hadn't watched wrestling in years. So now with this deal that Netflix is going to have next year, I could see myself kind of getting a little bit more into some of the Raw stuff, and especially in the way they're taking this now, where it does appeal to me as an adult, but it also appeals to my kids, being under 10 and stuff like that. I think it's a nice resurgence for something that I used to really love.
Yeah, it's in another. They keep the momentum going.
Yeah,
they were all about publicizing that this is the Triple H era, the Paul Levesque era.
Yeah.
It started with Paul Heyman saying it on Hall of Fame, and then it was kept being repeated, even though that wasn't the official line or anything being pushed by TKO or WWE. Mm-hmm. If you're not familiar, TKO owns WWE now. They also own UFC, so they're both the same company. If they keep the momentum going, they start doing more cross promotions where the wrestlers are at UFC fights, or UFC fighters show up at wrestling events. They're in a new golden age of wrestling now. Mm-hmm. Like, you had the 80s, then you had the Attitude Era, and now you're going to have whatever this is going to be called. The Triple H era, but whatever it'll officially be named.
I did love hearing everyone saying for Cody, let him, finish the story. And it just brought me back to what we played on Thursday, where it was like, hey, did you start this? And there's just nothing, static. Because he was going, his cell phone service was so bad with Sam. And I was laughing just hearing it. Yeah. They're like, oh, let him finish the story. They were talking about
phone call.
Fucking laughing my ass off.
So dumb.
Definitely a fun weekend. I'm not going to be a weekly viewer, but I'll definitely pay attention a lot more.
Okay.
Going forward. It's going to be cool.
All right. We got to take a break. We had other stories here, but we'll just have to wait for next time. Okay. We got so much going on in segment 2 here. Television, movies, streaming updates. They had, what was the con that was just?
CinemaCon's going on right now in Vegas.
And there's been a lot of stuff that's been announced, screened, and speculated on. So we got to get to all of that. We will do that as soon as I can find the file. There it is. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
More. It's Erik Nagel. Next.
Jordan, it's here. Steven Singer Jewelers just announced another brand new 24-karat gold-dipped rose color for Mother's Day.
This man's got to be running out of colors. Like, what can he possibly bring out now that's going to wow us?
The blood of the non-believers.
The eclipse is already over, Eric. What else do we got?
You think I'm lying? Just wait till you hear the rest of the copy. The moms in our lives have put up with a lot, that's for sure. Some of us weren't angels, but others were the ones, the brown nosers, the ones that carried their favor, whatever the term is. Give a toast to Mom for all her hard work with Steven's brand new 24-karat gold-dipped rose in red wine.
Oh.
For that vampire in your life, get her the special blood rose from Steven Singer, 24-karat gold-dipped rose. They're not repelled by it. You have to invite them into your house to give it to them, but they're not repelled, and it will not burn them because it is not of holy water or metal. This deep, rich burgundy color rose, rose will go perfectly with the glass of wine she surely deserves. Steven's famous 24-karat gold-dipped roses are real roses preserved and dipped in pure 24-karat gold, guaranteed to last a lifetime. lifetime. Mothers make Mother's Day special with a gift she'll love and appreciate every single day. A luxurious red wine 24-karat gold dip rose for just $69. Check out Steven Singer's entire collection of gold dip roses at IHateStevenSinger.com. Free shipping, free personalized gift messages for you, and a free lifetime guarantee. And if they turn on you, just impale them right in the heart. Yeah. And that's how you get rid of the vampire. But the rose will still be there.
My hand.
Yeah.
Very sturdy material.
The rose will still be there, so you'll have that memory for a lifetime. Exclusively and only at IHateStevenSinger.com. Tell them that you heard about it on It's Eric Nagel.
It's Eric Nagel. Follow the show on all social medias at It's Eric Nagel for ways to watch or listen to the show, both live and on demand. Go to itsericnagel.com. It's Eric Nagel. Eric Nagel.
Segment 2 of the show. Eric Jordan here with you. Where's my thing? There it is. Television, movies, streaming updates. We go through all that stuff so that you don't have to, and we let you know what to be aware of and what to avoid as we start off segment 2 each and every time. Jordan, what have you been watching?
Oh my God, it has been a week. So last week I finished up Three Body Problem on Netflix. It's about 8 episodes. Really good sci-fi show. Kind of a eclectic cast of all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds, but it's a good show. I don't want to talk about it too much because I want people to actually watch it, because I don't want this to be another 1899 situation and I don't get a season 2. So please go check out Three Body Problem on Netflix. Yesterday, Wednesday, we're recording this on Thursday, X-Men 97 episode 5, a little bit more than mid-season. I think there's only 8 or 9 episodes. That was an emotional roller coaster. That is a big one. I can't talk about it because this is a heavy spoiler episode. It made me sad. It made me happy. It was insane. It's probably one of the best X-Men/X-Men cartoon things that have ever been put out there. And I wish this was hyperbole. It is not. It was fantastic. It almost made me cry. It was so good. I watched the first episode of Fallout, out now on Amazon Prime.
I meant to, but I wound up falling asleep, so I didn't. Not because of the show, just because of it was super late at night when we were doing this, and we opened the show with Orange Sky.
So good
by Nat King Cole, which was the beginning of the series. Go ahead.
But yeah, Fallout episode 1, super good. I like that they're finally saying, you know what? These properties are violent. These properties are mature. Let's make them like the games. Let's do those kinds of things. We saw that with Twisted Metal, where it was a little bit more adult leaning. People were getting blown up. There's bad language. There's all kinds of craziness. This is going the same way. I mean, they show a lot of crazy stuff in this first episode, and I can't. All 8 episodes are out, so I'm going to watch probably another one tonight. And then I'll probably finish this up before the next show, so it'll be good.
Okay.
We talked about Wrestlemania. Watched that. I can't believe how fun that was. Really enjoyed that. And then I went to the movie theater and saw Monkey Man, starring Dev Patel. He actually wrote and directed this movie as well. It's kind of like a revenge flick set in India. Pretty entertaining. There was some parts that I got a little bored in. I think there's like a middle section of this movie that was a little slow. It's about 2.5 hours long. I saw an 8:30 showing. I didn't get out till about 11, almost 11. But it's a good movie. I keep calling it non-Wick because I mean it's Indian and it's the same thing. It's just a revenge movie. A lot of fighting, a lot of craziness. I didn't think they were going to go that hard with some of the really violent stuff. Like at one point, he's fighting somebody and then bites his nose and bites it off. Like it's kind of like that. But overall, it was a fun movie. Really, check it out. I can't say it's going to last in the theaters. Most movies don't anymore. So, I mean, check it out now before it goes away. If you're not, you'll see it on video on demand within like 3 weeks.
All right.
But yeah, that's all I watched.
I thought I was going to bring up Godzilla, but I think we talked about that last week. So
I think we touched on it a little bit.
So I saw that, and that was 2 weeks ago when that came out. Wow, time's moving fast. So yeah, I saw the new Godzilla movie. Not that bad. Don't let the trailer fool you. It's actually it was.
You're
okay.
the second person I know that said that. So yeah.
I also started the series Ripley on Netflix.
Did you? Okay. I know that came out last week.
Yeah, I got halfway through the first episode and I had to stop because I was like, there's so much going on here. I'm not fully paying attention to it.
Yeah.
So I liked what I saw so far, but I'm gonna restart the episode and pay attention because there's a lot of little things happening.
And it's fully in black and white, right?
Yeah,
that's what I remember. Okay.
Yeah. So so far, the little I saw of it, I enjoyed it, and I'll keep watching it. So I'm
it's
watching
on my
that.
list.
And I've found another game to play outside of Sea of Thieves.
Makes me happy that you're involved.
And I am now playing No Man's Sky on, well, it's on any platform. You can get it, Steam, Xbox, PlayStation. I think Switch even has it.
Switch has it, yep.
Yeah, so I've been playing with Jordan and Hollywood agent Rob Stark. And it's not a game I thought I would enjoy, but I am enjoying it because I don't like games where you have to grind and manufacture stuff all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm not minding this one for some reason. So maybe
I wonder
this
if it's
will
the setting.
Maybe
Like,
this will open me up to other games where people love to just constantly farm shit and then have to get like a million of this thing and a few hundred of that thing in order to start putting it into a machine and crafting new stuff all the time. Like sometimes that's what pissed me off about Breath of the Wild, where it was so much that, well, you need to have this recipe in order to go to this section of the map so that you wouldn't freeze to death, or this one so you don't burn to death, or this one.
Some of that in this. Like you have to have certain drives to get to certain star systems that we kind of talked about last night. Now,
but once you have it, it's there to go, and you just you refill it.
Now, I think you got lucky. You didn't start this game like when we and Rob started this game back, 6-7 years ago, where it was bare bones, nothing to do. They have made so many quality of life adjustments where it's almost a completely different game, and it's really, really fun. You have the benefit of Rob and I having so much junk to pass on to you that we've kind of artificially leveled you up a little bit to get you to a point where you're not sitting there having to grind as much to get to a good position. Now you're just like, okay, let's get you the extra space in your backpack. Let's get you to do this. I mean, you still haven't even gotten your frigate. You've played 4 nights in a row with us.
Right.
So like, there are steps that I think we've artificially moved you past a little quicker than normal, and I think that's what's helping you get in. This notoriously is a game where I wanted Giddles to play with us. I just feel like at some point he would have not cared enough to play it. And that's what my fear was with you, but with Rob and I kind of helping you out, I think it's we're going to get.
I don't know why he wouldn't like it. He likes doing that shit, but it's in a Dungeons and Dragons setting.
Well, that's what I thought too, but he could. I think he did download it at some point and just couldn't move past how the slow pace of the first part of the game is. And once you get past it, it's really fun. We're having a great time.
Yeah, I'm getting better on flying. I've actually killed some ships instead of being blown out of the sky.
Yep.
And right now I'm doing grinding, which I don't like doing, but I have to go to those pods to get pockets for my exosuit in order to have more items.
Yep.
So I've just been going around doing that, and I've been loving all the things that nobody else seems to like in this game. Like I walk around a planet and just scan things to identify them.
I saw you doing that last night. I landed near your pod and you're like, oh, you're here. And then I could see your character doing this.
Yeah.
They're just holding your little hand up. And I'm like, wait, what are we doing? And I knew that's what I didn't even have to ask you. I knew you were scanning the flora, the fauna, and the animals of the planet. Hilarious.
Yep, I'm walking around just scanning and identifying things just so I know. And then doing the scan to
you like the
minerals.
mundane. I think it centers you a little bit.
It does, because
and you like finding the game breaking stuff.
Because we also figured this out too, because you know how I play other games.
Yes.
And I try to break the game. Like I try to go behind scenery you're not supposed to. I try to cause glitches. I try to find.
Hey, can I fall in this cavern?
Yeah. So I'm taking this seriously. I'm trying to figure this out, and you guys have been helping me, showing me like the periodic table stuff about combining this and this in order to form these.
You've been very inquisitive
elements.
in a way that's benefiting you in the long run, which is good.
But then I do have questions where like, so those freighters over there are not real players, they're NPCs, right? Yeah.
What happened?
So can you go attack them? And you're like, I don't know if you can. And then I find out later, it's like, hey, guess what? I accidentally shot one of them, and yes, you can attack them, and now I'm being chased as a pilot.
Yeah, you're scanning your rocks. I'm like, okay, my ship's a little bit more outfitted, a little more. Let's see what happens. I shoot one. Oh, I'm a pirate now. So I get to warn you of the perils of shooting it. Don't shoot the space stations.
When you're in certain galaxies, you'll hear these loud bangs happening, and you're like, what's going on? And you look over, and you see the whoosh bang effect from when a ship comes out of hyperspace.
Yep.
So I say to Rob says, so what if you just happen to be near a space station and something comes out of hyperspace? Does it destroy you? Do you get moved out of the way? Does it not affect you?
That's a very good question.
And he goes, I don't know. And then later on, I found out what happens. My ship is stuck inside this ship.
He had to reset. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
So I'm already planting seeds of when I get better and get more experienced and I get to a level where I'm just awesome and I can start doing stuff, I'm already figuring out how I'm going to ruin the game.
You have asked the questions that I've never thought about because I'm thinking very linear. I'm thinking I've got to do this, this, and this to get to this, and this, and this.
Oh, I do that too.
And then you're like, oh, okay, so what happens if I do this instead? I'm like, oh, shit, I never thought about that. Or like, what if I shoot the space station? Or what if I do this? I'm like,
what if I fly over this balcony? Do I fall to my death?
Right. And there's
Rob goes,
walls.
Why would you do that? And I said, I don't know. I tried and I realized I could and I almost did. So I don't know. Do I lose all my stuff if I fall to my death there? Because I can't go reclaim it. I'm not ready to try that yet. But there's going to be a time where I'm going to empty all of my inventory and I go, I'm going to jump over that balcony and see what happens.
Right.
I will be doing those things once I get more advanced. So you'll see more clips and you'll hear more stories of me flying off and ruining people's good times and just doing things that...
I don't think it's going to ruin our good time. I think it's going to open up
other
different...
people.
Oh, okay. I'm like, wait, it's not going to ruin us. We're having a great time.
Or it's like, wait, I thought we were all doing this together. I'm like 6 galaxies over. I'm just ruining somebody's, treasure hunt or something.
And Erik has a tendency to do these things where he goes down these weird little rabbit holes where Rob's like, okay, hey, I'm going to help you do something. Come here. Erik can't sit still. He's jumping around. He's like one of those streamers on Sea of Thieves.
No, I am not.
I'm not.
I hate those people who are just constantly jumping around the ship because they got nothing to do.
We could not get a hold of you. We were trying to give you things. I'm
exploring.
And you're doing this. We were inside a space station. There was nowhere else to go.
I was going and talking to the people. I'm learning languages. They're teaching me new dialogue. I'm tipping people, which Rob was...
By the way, was the funniest thing you've said. Like, you're calling these spaceships airplanes. You're thinking things are propellers. You're using very old-timey speak
that look
to describe
like propellers.
It's all great. What you said last night made me and Rob both smile, like Homer finding that Milhouse was on the dating game when they were in the summer. Yeah. Like, just the smile crept along my face, and then Rob was like, "That is the funniest way to do this because you're now doing real life things that." And using terminology that doesn't apply, but it does.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
So when you talk to these different creatures, you don't know their language. They don't know your language. Or they know your language, but you don't know theirs. And you talk to them, you ask them for dialogue help, and they'll teach you a new word. Yeah. Now, apparently you can't learn all the language because it's infinite. Like, it just keeps going on. But you can learn enough, right?
You'll get blips, yeah.
So... I talk to them. Then they have a thing you can select where you can use the dialogue practice. And if you do something right, usually they get excited and they give you something, right? But then there's another feature where it's sort of a goodwill gesture. You can give them a piece of something related to their species. So I kept saying, it's like, I'm tipping the guy. I'll be right back. And Rob's like, what? And I said, yeah, he's teaching me this language. So I gave him one of these things. I tipped him. And it seemed to make you too giddy.
It's a very Erik move. It's a very Erik move.
You where it's like, anywhere unless you grease some palms.
Thanks for your help, pal. Here's a statue to reward you and give me some goodwill, and you get a new statue. Like you're very what is the term? It's so weird to see, like, just the way you're approaching it. Yeah, well, it was just we kept laughing like, oh, okay, so you're like, like palming something. I think Rob put it. It's very New Jersey of you.
Yeah, where it's like, hey, how you doing? Take this home to your mom. Get your wife something nice. That kind of thing. You shake the hands. He gives you a nice table. And he's got $100 in his hand. I'm just like, yeah, it's like all of them have this option. So I've been tipping everybody and building this goodwill so that somewhere along the lines, I'm going to shoot the wrong person or I'm going to fuck up or whatever. And I'll have enough goodwill that they'll give me the benefit of the doubt.
Right. You're planning for the future.
I'm planning for future fuck ups. Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing with this game. Bartholomew's in the chat. He apparently plays. He says, thinks I have 700 plus words in one of the languages. Keep thinking I was going to hit max every couple hundred words. Yeah, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Does not happen. But anyway, yes. So we're playing No Man's Sky. If you're really out there and you're playing No Man's Sky and you want to join us at some point, maybe we can work out a separate.
Let us know. It's a big universe.
Separate thing where we can build an armada.
I've been leveling up my frigates and doing all this stuff. We need to get you a big old ship.
I got to do all that stuff, and then I want a squid ship. I want that big battleship Air Force carrier
dreadnought
thing that looks like those giant worm things from Thanos in Endgame that were going around.
Oh yeah, those are the dreadnoughts. Those are pirate ships. I've got one that looks like a Star Destroyer that looks pretty cool.
Tom saying Eric plays No Made Man's Sky. All right.
He's just, whatever.
We'll play that. We got to move on. We got so much to get to here. We got to wrap this thing up. Out right now for your viewing pleasures, like we said on Amazon Prime, Fallout, the television series based on the popular video game franchise. All 8 episodes are available for you to consume. Over on Netflix, what? I didn't put this on here.
I put it on there. It
Woody Woodpecker goes to camp.
Yeah, apparently it's like
Is he dressed like Ernest?
I thought of that when I saw the title. I'm like, oh, great. He's just, it's Ernest goes to camp. He's going to have a little turtle. He's going to save the land for the Indians. But no, it's apparently it's like I think it's one of those animated and live action combo movies that they put on Netflix. So.
All right.
Something to show the kids, I guess.
Available video on demand. It lasted 2 weeks in the movie theater.
I was going to say, I put it on there, A, for you to say the title, and B, to discuss how quickly this thing made it.
The American Society of Magical Negroes got booed out of the theaters. And
$13 million in over 2 weeks.
That's terrible.
It is a flop.
And it's available now on video on demand. I might watch it on video on demand.
I've been wanting to watch it. I just haven't done it yet.
Kung Fu Panda 4, which that franchise, I'm amazed, is still so popular. But it
also did not last in the theater. I think it came out around the same time.
Oh, it didn't? Oh, I thought this was okay. This was
video
not
on demand.
Only.
Like this is
all right. All right.
Yeah, this was straight to the theaters.
Jack Black is the panda, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's tired of him. One Love. What is that?
It's the Bob Marley story.
Oh, right.
That lasted a little while, but yeah, it's just
an imaginary.
That was a horror movie, kind of from Blumhouse. Like it lasted maybe just as long as the American Society did. Like they put it in theaters, probably made some money, went out of theaters just as quickly. So.
In theaters, though, right now, Civil War is available, which that's another movie that seems to be getting a lot of heat on social media.
Yeah, I'm going to see that Saturday, I believe.
And Arcadian, what is that?
It looks like kind of like a post-apocalyptic, weird-looking movie starring Nicolas Cage. It's like him and his kids, have to stay inside because of the things that are outside. I don't know quite what the story is or what's hunting them, but it looked pretty good. It looks very low budget. But it should be fun. Nick Cage does like 35 movies a year now.
All right. Coming out next week, a bit of a heads up, on the 18th on Hulu. Welcome to Wrexham Season 3. I do enjoy that series.
Yeah,
it's about good. Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They own a football club over in Wales. So they had just won the championship and moved up. So they're not in the bottom leagues anymore. So we'll see what happens with season 3. Over on Max, April 18th, Conan O'Brien Must Go. Conan was just on The Tonight Show this week with Jimmy Fallon.
I caught parts of it, yeah.
I haven't watched it. I meant to do it. I just hadn't had time to watch it. So I will go check that out. And then, because we needed part 2, over on Netflix on the 19th, Rebel Moon will be available for you because nobody watched the first one. So people will not watch the second one.
I can't believe how bad the first part did that they didn't hype the second part up. Like, it's just coming
Nobody's
out.
talking about it.
It's zero run on that one.
Other than you, I don't know anybody that's seen that movie.
Yeah, it's not worth
like,
it.
I know a
bad.
bunch of Star Wars fans. They didn't bother to watch it either. So part 2 is coming out, and then also in theaters next week, The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. What is that?
It looks like kind of like the Gentleman / what was that? Oh my god, I can't remember. It's like the Guy Ritchie type stuff. The guy who played Superman is going to be in it. I had an opportunity to see it this past Saturday, and I didn't know it was actually the movie that was being put out. And
Okay.
So it looks fun, looks silly, just a crazy British looking movie.
All right. Moving on to news and announcements. Because nobody asked for this. If you remember the show Heroes, the terrible NBC show about superheroes that just lost its way towards the end of the first season, screwed up the second season, and I think
the second season there were strikes, so they had nothing.
Yeah, but that was screwed up, and then they came back for more, and then it just tanked. Nobody gave a shit about
Heroes
it anymore.
Reborn, yeah.
And then the guy who played, I think his name was Skyler or whatever.
Sylar,
wound up becoming the new Spock in Star Trek movie, so they just didn't bother continuing the series. Well, it's coming back in a big, big way. It's called Heroes Eclipsed.
They should have done it
Seriously.
and started it with the clips that just happened. Come on.
So it's by the original creative team, which you'd think they would like get rid of the original creative team because they fucked it up to begin with, but not the case.
Hey, real quick before we move on, there was a question. What was the stuff they made in Ernest Goes to Camp in the camp kitchen? That was Eggs Erroneous, Pivotal Pete. I believe it was Eggs Erroneous. It was just some
Was
really
eggs
bad.
with beefaroni?
I don't know. It was like some kind of goop.
Imagine making an omelet with beefaroni in it. I don't know.
I mean, I
it
tried
might sound good and disgusting.
I was going
at
to
the
say,
same time.
the parts are there.
All right,
Anyway.
moving on. The last Indiana Jones, which was Dial of Destiny, lost $130 million.
That's ridiculous.
It's now being estimated the fifth Indiana Jones installment lost upwards of $130 million, while the movie grossed $174 domestically and $383 worldwide. The film cost a staggering $387 million. When a studio releases a movie, they typically only get to collect about 50% of the box office earnings. In fact, the figures put out by Disney that estimates a $137 million loss are probably generous.
Yeah.
As there were probably a number of gross participants in the movie who likely collected from the net rather than the gross. The film will likely make up some of its losses in other forms of media, but even those prospects seem dire as the movie so far is exclusively on Disney Plus. Now, I'll say this. There were some scenes that were good in that movie.
I enjoyed some of it, yeah.
There were some things they did terrible in that movie.
Yep.
And the way they handled Antonio Banderas,
dude, made me so upset.
So me too.
Like,
because that would have been great. That would have been great to keep him around, and they didn't.
Right. Well, and then the fact that her character just brushed it off, and they kind of addressed it where he goes, "That was my friend," and they're like, "Oh, my bad," and then that was it. Never mentioned again.
Moving on. Oh well.
Anyway, so bad.
Anyway, it seems doubtful sales will be made up for that shortfall. Well, stop doing the thing that South Park told you that you're doing for all your movies. Stop doing that, and you won't have that problem. Well, it's just the way that times have changed, and this is what the audience doesn't want it.
But see, the audience that they're appealing to are the people that wanted the old stuff.
Right.
Those people haven't changed.
Right.
Appeal to them. And when we're long dead, then you make your
You've got movie. Tomb Raider. Make your modern day female-centric Indiana Jones. Do all that stuff there. Mm-hmm. No one's going to fault you for it because that's what it was made for. Do it there. Don't do it in Indiana Jones. Don't go back and redo all this old stuff and try to make it more, this is more appropriate for modern audiences. The modern audience doesn't give a shit about this old property. Right. The people who grew up with that property give a shit about that old property. Give them more of the same and what they want with it. Mm-hmm. I don't know why that's such a hard disconnect with Hollywood when they do this shit. The modern audience don't care about the older things. Let them find the older things. When we were growing up, did we give a shit about the movies that our parents watched or our grandparents watched? No.
Not really.
Not really. But we
wanted the
found them.
Goonies.
We found them at some point in our lives because maybe our parents were watching them at home and we got to see them. They owned the VHS tape, and we watched those things there. It was on HBO. There's plenty of movies that I've referenced that I only watched because it was on HBO all the time as a little kid. That's the only way I saw those movies.
I started a podcast completely based on the premise that I should be watching these older movies that I missed.
Yeah, the I Didn't Watch It podcast.
I didn't watch it later.
I
yes,
know.
exactly.
We're going to find out more about the I Didn't Watch It podcast later when we plug the show at the end of our program there.
You know, it like hurts his soul every time you do it, right? Like just little bits every now and then, just chipping away.
What's that?
I didn't say stop.
Right.
I'm just saying this is the end product.
Moving on. Another movie which I don't know why this is going to make any sense to make. Monopoly. They're turning the board game Monopoly into the movie franchise. They did this with Battleship, and look how terrible Battleship was.
So bad.
The only game that I know that became a great movie was Clue.
Yes.
Clue is a fantastic, to this day, still a fantastic movie. And what was the movie that I watched recently that said that felt like it had elements of Clue in it? There was something.
Oh, there was something, right?
Oh, was it the Mandy Patinkin series?
Yes.
Death and Other Details? Was that the one?
That's the one you were talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I still haven't watched it.
It felt like it had elements of not of the movie, but of the game concept.
Just
who was in this room at this time with what item did they kill this guy, and that kind of thing in there.
Right.
I love Clue. If I just need something mindless to watch or I feel better, I'll put Clue on. Because it's not like a chance of like if I happen to watch it on TV anymore. That doesn't happen.
No, I don't watch enough TV anymore like that.
Remind me real quick. Talk about BBC as soon as I'm done with the Monopoly thing here.
Got it.
So Monopoly is being turned into a movie by Margot Robbie and Lionsgate. Margot Robbie has her own production company called Lucky Chap, and her and her partners are producing a live-action feature film based on the ubiquitous real estate-inspired board game. Hasbro Entertainment, the backers of Monopoly, will also be producing the movie, kind of like how Mattel produced the Barbie movie. Mm-hmm. It's unclear how Robbie and company plan to spin a narrative story from the two-dimensional world of Monopoly. But
it'll be aliens and,
Well, it's based on Atlantic City.
Yeah.
Like all the places are Atlantic City. So I don't know what they're doing here, but we'll see what the details are. I'm sure it's going to be terrible, but why aren't you trying to be optimistic about things? Because more times than not, I'd rather be surprised that I was wrong than be confirmed that I was right.
I was going to say, because for every Barbie movie, you get Battleship. Like, it's just how it works. For every Oscar-winning movie that, Cuba Gooding Jr. does, he puts out Snow Dogs.
Right.
Like, it's just how it works. For every Ray, you get Stealth. I mean, it's just how it works. So it's not going to be good.
Backpedaling to the Indiana Jones thing. Tom from Alberta. I saw Raiders in the theater in 1981 when I was 11. I'm the target audience and I don't care about this. Yeah, that's the problem. They keep changing too much shit and you don't care about it anymore.
Right.
All right, so Monopoly movie. BBC. I found this out recently.
Okay.
Television works way different in the UK than it does in the United States. Now, going back to when our parents or grandparents would talk about television, you'd always hear like, we only had 3 channels, maybe 4 channels. You had the big 3 and then some local stuff, right? ABC, NBC, right. CBS, and then whatever local channels for the market that you're in. BBC has been this forever. They've had BBC 1, 2, and 3, I think, was somewhere in the last 30 years. 3 and 4 came around. But it's government-run television. Like, you have to pay for a TV license, and it's mandatory. It's not like a subscription price where, like, I want to pay for Netflix to watch that, and if I don't feel like paying, I don't want Netflix anymore, I can just cancel. You can't. If you live there, it's like a tax. You have to pay a TV license whether you watch television or not. So the money goes to BBC to fund programming and things of that nature, right?
Yeah.
Movies for BBC, cultural programming, comedy programming, news stuff, game. You see a lot of game shows come out of BBC in the UK. So what's been happening is because the digital age came about, 20 years ago, right? In the early 2000s is when it started kicking in gear. There's so many more options to watch stuff and stream stuff. So the BBC is a government-funded entity. The government in the UK is now looking to cease funding for the BBC.
Weird.
So that means that they're going to stop collecting the tax money and the government subsidies that they give to the BBC to make stuff and to broadcast news or whatever is going to go away. So the BBC is going to be without funding. So now they're going to figure out ways to do stuff. Like they got to go pick up advertising and social media stuff and streaming. So they've been pushing really hard to get things on their BBC iPlayer in the last couple of years.
Right.
And they really brought that to the forefront that the iPlayer is going to be the end all be all for BBC programming. One, because it's streaming, it's all digital, you can get it anywhere, as long as you're within the UK. They really brought it to the forefront of people's minds when Doctor Who was coming out with those specials, and they started saying we're the Doctor Who-niverse, and they started putting all these specialty programming and documentaries and all the series together. It's all on the iPlayer. It's not everywhere else. It's not on BBC's website. It's all through the iPlayer. So you can go there and get it if you got a BBC what is their subscription thing? I'll just keep calling it iPlayer. BBC iPlayer account, and you're within the allotted allotted areas that you're allowed to stream it from. Like here, if you want to do it, you got to get a VPN and a fake account and stuff in order to sign in to see all of their stuff. So BBC TV is going away in that traditional sense. I'm wondering, that doesn't, like the main networks here in the United States aren't funded that way. They've always been private entities. They've had ads, and way back in the day, you see a lot of the old black and white television things. It's the Colgate Variety Hour, like a sponsor was in the show sponsoring the whole thing and had their name in the title.
They've been doing that since the days of radio. Like, I still listen to, I mean, I didn't listen to it when it was out because I was not alive, but I listened to The Shadow. Like, I love the old radio dramas. And halfway through the show, they interrupt to talk about blue coal, Pennsylvania's strongest anthracite. And, the advertising in media here in the U.S. has been around forever. So it's just crazy that
they're now playing catch up well into the 21st century.
Right.
That they're now just like, hey, maybe we're going to have to start doing this. But what they're also going to do is some of their channels are going away. Like they're turning them off, and they're just going to be digital broadcasting. So that made me think, because I went on a bit of a rabbit hole last night watching. I clicked on something by accident. I was watching this, and then they started talking about the BBC licensing. I stopped watching whatever it was, and I went and started looking at articles and news clips and stuff about the licensing. And I was thinking about, here in the United States, well, the main networks right now, Fox, NBC, ABC, CBS, run garbage programming between 8 and 11. Like, it's garbage. It's all reality game shows. Or like CBS still has some stuff for an older demographic. They have 1 hour dramas, which I guess are cheaper to produce than a sitcom or stuff that you have to constantly write a lot. I guess that's how Law and Order lasts so much, because they're ripping it from headlines and just taking that story and then building around that, changing names and concepts and stuff, and it's already written for you. So how long till that happens here in the United States, where these networks realize there's no point in keeping our TV things on anymore, because there's no sense of, I was sitting at home flipping through the channels and this was on, so I just watched it. You're like, anybody like our generation, our age group, probably would, because we did that all our lives. But if there's no TV there, we would find other ways to watch stuff.
Yeah.
Younger than us, I'll say Gen Z, even, my kid is still, a toddler and knows how to pick up the remote, knows which button turns on Disney, knows which one is her account, finds her show. She just sits there through that. And if she doesn't have that, she goes to her iPad and she'll find the videos that she saved. She has a thing that she saves and then opens a playlist and clicks all the things that she likes and goes through all the stuff.
My kid can't handle commercials. Doesn't know
you can't fast
what
forward.
Commercials are.
Right.
Because you can't fast forward, you can't skip it. It happened to me when I was playing the radio in the car a couple months back. I had the radio on and not my iPod. You know, I didn't have my phone plugged in, so I wasn't listening to whatever streaming. It was whatever was on the local radio station, rock station, whatever I was listening to. And he goes, skip this. I don't want to hear this song. I was like, I can't. This is what they're playing. I subscribe to Peacock, but I don't subscribe to the non-commercial version. So, like, I'm watching a show, all of a sudden a commercial comes on because my son wanted to watch The Office with me because, you know, he used to watch some of it with me. Now he's like, hey, let's watch it together again. Sure, we'll do it. Commercial pops on, and the frustration in his face, I'm like, that's how things used to be, man. Like, that was terrestrial television. Like, that's what we watched. And it's just crazy that it'll go away. Like,
I'll get back to the kid thing in a second, but when you're talking about not being able to skip the ads, the only thing I really use my DVR for are some things that are only on television that will either watch later because I can watch it at my convenience, or sometimes they don't put certain things on their accompanying streaming service, right? So my DVR tapes NBC Nightly News, CBS Evening News, the ABC one. I keep forgetting what the ABC. It's not 2020. It's the World News Tonight, whatever it is, the ABC thing. And when I come home from work or when I'm doing, I'll sit there and I skim through them, and I know their commercial break patterns. Like they'll go 10 minutes, and then their first break is only a minute, and then get you back into more stories. Their second break is 2 minutes. So I know I hit the button 4 times for a 30-second skip, and I'm back into the thing. And then I know after this news story, there's a 4-minute commercial break that I'm just hitting the button to go through there. Same thing with CBS and all that stuff. I know how to skip it, but I'll DVR stuff still to watch it later so I can skip the ads. Now, I know that doesn't help those programs, but I don't care. The thing with the kid, I could be in the car. We're going somewhere. And the kid starts saying, Alexa, play whatever.
Right.
And I go, Alexa's not here. Alexa's at home. Well, I want to hear Maui. Or I want to hear Moana. Or I want to hear Frozen. Okay, now I got to set my phone up with Spotify to find the playlist. And we'll play a song, and she's now at the point where she'll be listening to a song for a while, and then she'll go, Alexa, play whatever, in the middle of the song. Like, she's already tired of the song in the middle of the song that she's heard a million times.
Oh, yeah.
And wants to skip to the next thing. It's like, it doesn't work like that. I have to lean over and hit the thing to skip into whatever.
She has a name.
Alexa. So
I'll have to lean over and hit the thing.
Alexa, yeah. Smashing the dumb cube. But that's the thing. These younger generations now are not going to accidentally find stuff. Like I remember not too long ago talking about how sometimes on Saturday I would watch a terrible movie that was on FXX or FX because I was sitting around on a Saturday afternoon and I just turned it on and was flipping around. I'm like, oh, there's a marathon of Guy Fieri's Diners, Drive-Thrus, and Dives, or the Travel Channel would do cruise stuff, or like there were chances I would find something at, just randomly or accidentally, and I would sit there and watch it just because it was on. That's not going to be a thing in the next 5 years.
I used to watch medical shows on PBS, and every now and then they would show, like, this is how a hip is replaced. And, like, I would watch, like, a hip being replaced. You could see the guy get cut open, the metal on there, and you get the little ball joints. And I'm sitting there going, I don't think they do that anymore. And I don't think, you're right, my kids aren't just going to run across that stuff.
Yeah.
I used to love discovering just random stuff on the 5 channels I was allowed to watch.
Pivotal Pete saying that's podcasting. They interrupt mid-sentence and serve an ad. That's certain podcast companies. Remember we had the thing here where I talked about where we're supposed to be running an ad every 20 minutes with this, and we don't. Now, and that probably is very, it's not very beneficial to us for doing that because we put the breaks in the center. There's ads that run before, in the middle, and at the end of the show. We can't do anything about that. That's how they put them in there, and that's where it's allotted. But we're supposed to put them every 20 minutes in a podcast. If you have a 1-hour podcast and they sold a bunch of ads, it's like every 10 to 15 minutes they put an ad in there. There's a pattern to it. What sucks is that the producers of podcasts don't listen to where the ad should drop in to hear, like, all right, if you teach your host, if they're doing that style of that format of podcasting, and you go, okay, before you get into the next segment, don't just do a quick transition into the next thing. Do a little pause, give a little, okay, we're here there. All right, moving on. Like I do that. I go, moving on to the next thing. We leave those little pauses. Now, it's important because if we move the show somewhere else, we're working on some things, we may have to start doing that. And there's nothing we can do about that. So I know where the conversation ends and a new one starts. That would be the place to put an ad. They don't listen. They'll just, somebody's laughing. They'll see, oh, there's a whole laugh thing. And then there's a little pause before they continue on. We'll just drop it there. But you might be in the middle of a conversation. You come back after a 1 minute ad or 2 30-second ads. And then you go, I don't remember what they were just talking about now.
Yeah.
You know, what the thing was, because they're continuing the conversation. They don't look to monitor it. They just read the waveform and drop it in. And then they're
yeah, because there's natural pauses in some conversations where it makes sense. And yeah, if you're not really paying attention and monitoring that in a good way, you're just going to have weird spots where I've seen ads placed in some things where it just didn't feel right.
Right.
I'm like, that's not a natural progression of this. I see the wheels turning in your head.
No, I see something that I'm not bringing up because it makes no sense to talk about on the show, but I will address it afterwards.
Oh, you guys are in trouble now.
I voted. I picked my things and I voted, and I was ahead of all of you.
Take that.
Some of us work, is all I'm going to say. Some of us have to work. We're not sitting around dicking around on our phones all the time, Jordan.
Hey, I'm not the one saying anything.
No, I'm saying it to you so you can pass it along to him because he knows who he is. All right, we got to get back to segment 2 and move on here.
Please.
I think this news came out of CinemaCon, so it's jumping ahead, but Five Nights at Freddy's. I still haven't gone to watch. I keep forgetting to watch that movie.
It's okay.
Universal and Blumhouse officially announced that they're doing a sequel that will be out in fall of 2025.
Now, here's the thing. They had already kind of signed on a few people. Some of the actors involved in the original said, yeah, we can't really talk about it, but whatever. First one did amazing in the theaters, even though it came out on streaming at the same time on Peacock. It was serviceable for people who understood the lore of the games. My kids loved it. It made sense to do a sequel. Why they waited this long to officially announce it, I'm surprised they didn't announce it almost immediately. Right. But, it is what it is. But yeah, we're getting the second one. I think they'll probably do at least 3. I think they've got Matthew Lillard signed for at least 3 movies. So we'll see.
Okay, well, have fun with Naomi Campbell. Not Naomi Campbell, Neve Campbell.
No. It's Naomi Campbell.
I would love to see Scream with Naomi Campbell. Isn't she like 60 now or something?
It's just random.
Someone killed an old lady.
Why is she in here?
Someone killed an old black lady. Oh my God, that Scream thing is racist.
How is it that we signed this star to be the main face of Scream and she was killed within the first 5 minutes? Rules are rules.
It stars Naomi Campbell. She gets killed, and then the rest of the movie is about social outrage and injustice. Yeah, it's like, wait, this was a horror. Why are we? Wait, what? Why are we we're at a rally now, and there's court hearings and stuff.
It's like that movie, The Blackening, where it was like the whole cast was black. Who do you kill first? Like they address that. It's so funny. Like, have you watched that yet?
No, I have not.
Go watch The Blackening. It's funny.
All right, moving on. The Eras Tour has scored big for Disney Plus. The film, that's even more than it was. Because when it first came out, the thing was, this isn't good because they only had like 4 to 6 million views on the Eras Tour. And people were saying, wow, Disney does not have the pull that apparently Netflix hasn't right now. But I guess that's not the case because it racked up 677 million minutes of viewing in the United States alone in the week of March 11th through the 17th. It debuted on March 14th. So how did, from the 11th?
There was video on demand. So they're talking just the film itself for video on demand when it came out, racked up this much up until the lead up to Disney Plus.
Okay.
And then Disney Plus just pushed it even further.
All right. Well, good. Because I remember the initial story is like, this doesn't look like it's doing good. Taylor's not
right.
Should have went to Netflix and everything, and now that's not the case.
Nope.
Finished second among movies and 8th among all titles for that week. Disney had previously said that the Eras Tour, Taylor's version, had 4.6 million views, defined as total viewing time divided by running time worldwide over its first 3 days. The first 4 days of Nielsen measures about 3.22 million views for the third, whatever. So I guess it's doing well.
It did well.
It's doing better than they initially presented.
My
it.
social media has a bunch of like families doing like the watch parties and getting all the girls together and themed foods. I'm like, okay, you guys got your thing. That's cool.
We should shoot a video where we're watching it and like a big watch party. We're all around the room. We'll get Aaron and
That's
Scott,
just Aaron.
Scott from your show, and a couple other people, and then somebody will be on Jordan's L-shaped couch, just in the background, making love to the Dune popcorn bucket, while everyone else is singing Taylor and acting out the songs and the dance moves and stuff like that. I think it'll do great for your podcast.
It'd be great. Yeah,
Should do it.
that's the collaboration we've been wanting. Sure, we could do a snack show with you. Sure, we can watch a movie together. No, let's watch Aaron. Make love to the Dune popcorn bucket while we're watching Taylor Swift. Yeah, see, Aaron knows all the words.
Yeah, so
he
he
went
can be
to the
singing
first
it out.
night here in Phoenix.
Scott will be doing something to the popcorn bucket, just in the back while everyone else is dancing and singing. Only 17. No, it was not 17. What is the song? 22?
20 something, I guess, something. I don't know.
Only
I'm
22.
not a big
22.
fan.
Only 22. Everyone's doing that, and then there's somebody with the Dune bucket. Just in the back.
background.
It's very subtle, and let it go viral naturally. Just put it out there. Just say, Taylor watch party. Don't draw any attention to it. Let the internet do what it does, and then your show blows up.
What was that dumb dance trend people were doing where it was like the music was going crazy and everyone was doing something weird? Like that, it's the same thing. We're just in the background
it would go dung 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 dung.
Yeah. And everyone's dancing and-
yeah. So they'd be dancing like this, and then
And Scott's in the background with the bucket.
Dumb. But he's in the foreground and the background,
Right.
Both times, just with the bucket.
He's just still doing
he
it.
doesn't change.
No.
He'd be like
Us
that
that
one
changes.
kid when you watch was it Charlie Brown Christmas when they're dancing.
He's just doing the dance.
one kid's doing that and then turning that way and then turning
Yeah.
that way. That's
Easy to animate.
that's what Scott's doing. There you go. All right, moving on. Monarch.
It's a lot of CinemaCon. This is all CinemaCon news right now.
Monarch
It's a lot of
Season
stuff.
2 officially in the works for Apple Plus, Apple TV, whatever you want to call it. It's been renewed for a second season. Apple has announced, along with Season 2 renewal, multiple spin-offs are also confirmed in the works. Decisions come after the first season of the MonsterVerse series debuted to critical acclaim. I did like the first
I enjoyed
season
it.
very much. Following the streamer's new multi-series deal with Legendary Entertainment, the series has received not only a Season 2 order, but also spin-offs in the MonsterVerse franchise. That I like. If you keep doing Godzilla, just keep Godzilla once in a while in the movie theaters. Mm-hmm. Do all the other creatures and stuff as these cinematic television events for online streaming. It'll be fine. Don't bring them to the movies unless there's enough of a, like if you do a Godzilla Endgame kind of scenario where these multi spin-offs and everything get to the point where they're all big and you want to see them all converge in the theater, fine.
Yeah.
But leave Godzilla in the theater and then keep doing all this other stuff for television. I'd be happy with all of that.
So we'll see. It's going to get a couple things. So I'm excited. I was happy to see that announced today that they were getting Season 2. Because you're right. I enjoyed Season 1 enough to care. You know what I mean?
All right. Some Disney updates coming out of CinemaCon, which is weird because you'd think Disney's just doing everything in-house nowadays, but lo and behold.
I think they're going to save a lot of it for Comic-Con and then the Disney stuff later, but it's like a teaser.
So Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman were at CinemaCon on Thursday with director Sean Levy debuted new footage from Deadpool and Wolverine, which is out in theaters July 26th. Pixar showed the first 35 minutes of its upcoming sequel, Inside Out 2. Why so much? Usually
Could
it's
you
like
imagine
10
it's a
minutes,
90-minute movie? You showed a third of it to the people at CinemaCon? Like,
you already told they could go around like, wow, this is terrible. I'm not. It's not even Lewis Black's anger anymore. Which, by the way, I'll tell you this: I have the Anger Funko Pop signed by Lewis Black.
That's super.
And
cool.
I remember Lewis going, he goes, "What is this shit?" And I'm like, "It's your character from Inside Out." And he was laughing, and he's like, "I didn't even know they made this." He's like, "I'm probably getting screwed."
I love that.
I love Lewis Black so much.
He's so good.
But it's one of my favorite things. It's in the back vault of Anger signed by Lewis Black.
He's one of my favorite characters in the movie Accepted, where he played like the guy who came in to be their fake principal. Mm-hmm. Oh, he's so good.
He's the best. So they showed 35 minutes of Inside Out 2 coming out
35.
June 14th. The Rock made an appearance right after WrestleMania, appeared there to show a sneak peek of the new animated sequel, Moana 2, coming out November 27th. And director Barry Jenkins, remember Barry Jenkins, give theater that's a deep cut. Give theater owners a taste of what's coming in the live-action prequel, Mufasa: The Lion King. That's interesting.
Yeah, they're making a prequel to it. It's
Okay.
so the live action that they did like a few years back that I absolutely hated. They're doing a prequel to it.
I don't think I saw the live-action one.
I was bored.
I don't think I've seen any of the Disney live. No, that's not true. I
saw Aladdin.
I saw Jungle Cruise.
That was fun, surprisingly.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen any other live adaptations to Disney stuff. I know I saw Jungle Cruise. But anyway, so that comes out, Mufasa: The Lion King, December 20th. Also, CinemaCon shows off footage of Ballerina, the John Wick spinoff.
Yeah.
So it's the first look at the titular role, the character meeting Keanu Reeves' gun fu.
I know. I just took the copy off the thing. I'm like, oh god, these people.
They
write
wrote
like
gun
morons.
fu assassin.
Yeah. So stupid.
I hate Hollywood critics so much.
I hate Hollywood writers. Like, that's just so stupid. Anyway.
All right. I really don't care about reading the rest of what they wrote just because they wrote gun fu.
So the basic gist is that the movie is going to take place between movie 3 and 4 for John Wick. So they found a way to bring Keanu Reeves into this.
Angelica Houston.
Yeah, she's coming back because she was the leader of the ballerinas.
That's right. She was.
Yeah.
Right.
So since they're doing it between movies, they can kind of work that story in and make it make sense to bring these characters back.
Good.
Since
Okay,
some
great.
of them made less than favorable, outcomes in the other movies. So
Well, I'll watch it because I like John Wick. So
I do too.
I liked
The show was
The
good.
Continental.
Yeah.
On Peacock. It's like 3 movies.
3 episodes, and they were like 2 hours each or an hour and
Yeah.
a half each or something like that.
Really good. Go watch that if you haven't. Go watch The Continental on Peacock if you're a fan of the John Wick stuff. Christopher Nolan to re-release Interstellar into theaters. Paramount Pictures. None of this there. The movie will be put back into theaters September 27th in both 70 millimeter and IMAX formats. The re-release is celebration of the film's 10th anniversary.
I think they're kind of riding the coattails of the Oppenheimer win. So
that
they're just trying to
movie
get that out
I
there.
wanted to like, and I feel like I didn't
bored.
really enjoy it. Especially, is that the one where he's like behind the walls in the bookcase?
Yeah. In the Tesseract. And
Yeah,
he's always saying Murph every
Yeah.
3 seconds. And he's got the McConaughey crying meme is so
I
prevalent.
wanted to like that movie.
I didn't. I'm the same way. I love Nolan, and
I love space movies.
Yeah, me too. And it was very sciencey, and I like that kind of stuff. I
even like the one with Matt Damon.
Oh, I love The Martian.
Yeah,
He's
thank
gonna
you.
science the shit out of this thing.
Yeah, where he's just taking
Love that movie.
he takes a dump and he's growing
He's eating
potatoes
shit
out
potatoes.
of it. Yeah,
I like that movie.
that movie's great. I
I think
love
it was a
that
Ridley
movie.
Scott movie. Like, I was very into that one.
Yeah, I like space movies, but I just
Yeah.
couldn't get into Interstellar.
Same here. I know. Like, I went and saw like Mission to Mars and Red Planet when they came out. I was like, ooh, competing Mars movies. Let's
Thank
go
you
watch
for
those
saying
stupid
that.
ones.
Red Planet, that's the
I
Val
love Red
Kilmer
Planet.
one, right?
Yes, with the robot going around trying to kill him.
The ending of Val Kilmer's character, I'm not going to give it away, but was one of the best ways for a character to sign off.
100%.
Was amazing. But the other one, the goofy one,
Mission to Mars.
Mission to Mars, I love that movie. That movie,
Gary Sinise is really good in that one.
that movie feels like part of my favorite game of all time, Zach McCracken and the Alien Mindbenders.
Yep.
There's scenes in that game where 2 girls are on spring break and they built their Volkswagen van into a spaceship and they were going to Mars. And
Reminds
there's
me
some
of
Mars
Explorers with River Phoenix.
right. There's some Mars stuff that happens in that game that's almost similar to what's in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now the game was first. The game came out in the late 80s. It was a spin-off to Maniac Mansion from
I love
LucasArts
Maniac
game.
Mansion.
I do too. One of my other favorite games. I have the artwork over there. Both.
I think I watched you play it. You like started doing a replay of it like a couple months back.
It's so fast to play it now. But I haven't done Zach McCracken. I think I might do a full run through of Zach McCracken because that is my favorite game of all time. That Mars movie, Mission to Mars. There's a lot of weird, goofy shit in that movie that I'm like, this feels like that video game. So I would love for them if they want to do a reboot of something. Zach McCracken. Take the game and make it a movie.
Be fun.
Would be amazing. The whole concept of the story is so ridiculous. Like Miami was closed due to hurricane damage, so you couldn't get off the plane in Miami because the airport's closed. Like that's how ridiculous it was, and then it never opens again. Like you're like, it's going to take forever to get Miami to open the airport again. It's like, okay, fine. I'm not going to Miami. What can I do? All right, moving on. More stuff coming out of CinemaCon. Footage from Gladiator 2 has been shown. The sequel is going to hit theaters November 22nd. Did people give a shit about this, or
I'm one that like didn't think they needed to have a sequel. I think the first one was fine. I think the cast is pretty stacked in this one. Denzel Washington's in it.
Spaniard.
This apparently, we'll see. Pedro Pascal's in this. I think,
of course, he is because he's in everything.
Yeah, he's in everything. I think
he's what I liked Gladiator.
What I liked about this story is that apparently it is the son of Maximus is now the main character and he's fighting. So he's the slave coming up amongst the ranks. Mm-hmm. Denzel Washington, I guess, is like a slave trader. He's doing stuff. Pedro Pascal, I guess, fights him at some point. Connie Nielsen came back, the woman from the first movie, to give Maximus's son like his ring. So I think they're trying to pull a lot of nostalgia. I'm interested to see footage of it before I make a final judgment on it. I didn't think it needs a sequel. You're not going to watch Braveheart 2, Revenge of the Sword. I don't know. But this, if they do it right, sounds good. It's the same director, Ridley Scott. So
Braveheart 2, Haggis a Good Time.
No, that's a show title.
There you go.
But
what's that thing that's going on in Scotland right now with the trans laws, where if you say anything about a trans person, you can get arrested?
Oh, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a real thing. I saw it showing up on Twitter a lot. And then I was looking at and I was like, oh my God, this is a thing. So now there's some kind of law, or they're trying to attempt a law where if you make any kind of disparaging comment, or even if you're just joking or goofing about it, like you can be arrested because it's damaging to them. Like it's something really extreme and ridiculous.
I don't know. I don't know enough about it to comment on it.
But what if that's Braveheart 2? It's like, look at you,
bunch of guys wanting to make trans jokes,
and then all of a sudden, you're
wearing a kilt.
Mel Gibson's being hauled off. It's like real cops show up in real time, kind of like Holy Grail at the end. Remember where they didn't know how to end the movie, and so it became the real world where the cops are arresting them because they didn't have permits to shoot, and one guy got actually killed. You never saw Holy Grail? Monty Python?
No, I know. I saw it.
Okay.
I saw it.
Hanging me out to dry, you dick. I get it.
I know.
All right. So anyway, Gladiator 2, November 22nd. See there. Some great news.
This is my favorite one of them all.
An R-rated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie has been announced.
Live action.
They're doing The Last Ronin adaptation.
Uh-huh.
Which, if you're not familiar, it's like all the other turtles are dead except Raphael, right?
So it's a future storyline where the son of Shredder is like the new Shredder, and he's kind of running the city. And 3 of the Ninja Turtles have died, and the 4th one took up all their weapons and the mantle of the Last Ronin. And it took a couple issues to figure out which one survived. So it was kind of this big mystery of like, who's the Last Ronin? The comic is great.
Spoiler.
It was written by... Well, I didn't say. Did someone tell him?
I did.
Oh, did you?
Didn't I say it was Raphael and all the other ones are dead?
No, I didn't say it was Raphael.
No, I said it was.
Well, you're 1 of 4. It could be right, could be wrong.
It could be.
I know
right,
who it is.
You spoiled it because you could just go and do a Google search and see the book.
Anyway, yes, but yeah, it was written by Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird, the guys who did the original comic run. It was very dark. I have it. It's wonderful, and I'm excited that they're going to go R-rated, and I'm excited that it's going to be live action. We're not going to get some kiddie version of The Last Ronin. This needs to be R-rated. So,
all right,
very cool.
We're very excited about that. Any estimate of when they were hoping this would come out?
No, because this was a surprise that they said it, so it's probably very early on talks. Paramount's going to be putting it out because I think they have the rights to all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff. If I'm guessing correctly, it's probably going to be no sooner than 2026.
Okay. Moving on, Transformers 1 shows of a new... Transformer 1
shows off. I should have said off. Sorry, I mistyped.
Oh, Transformer 1 shows off new 3D footage. Okay. Chris Hemsworth, the voice of a young Optimus Prime. Oh, so he's going to have an Aussie accent now. That'll be fantastic. And Brian Tyree Henry, voice of a young Megatron. Oh, this is going to be like the school years or something.
Yeah, it's like growing up. The college years. Got
an enthusiastic welcome at CinemaCon as they introduced the first look at a 3D scene of Transformers 1, Paramount's animated origin story based on the Hasbro's Toy Story line. The original story is how they transform from brothers in arms to sworn enemies. Get it? Transforms. I'm letting it sit there for...
Just let it marinate for a minute.
In the clip, Optimus Prime and Megatron, their friends proven worthy, are given the powers to transform and awkwardly get accustomed to using those powers. This is like a coming-of-age teen movie.
It is.
Then they enter a cargo train, and for the first time, they see the surface of their new home planet. This is getting worse as I read this.
they keep trying to do Transformers movies, and it's the more they do them, the more
surface
it's terrible.
Is a vast environment of rock-like structures, like the bots grow and transform. Okay, you're losing me. Well, they had a Transformer mini-series that came out not too long ago. It was about Cybertron. It was all the fighting on Cybertron stuff, which was really, really good. Like, it felt like a more advanced version of G1.
Are you talking about the Netflix ones? Like the animated ones where they did 3 parts?
Yeah.
I loved that one.
That one, yeah.
Okay.
That one was fantastic. I can't think of the name of it, but it was on Netflix. And they're like there's 3 parts, but they were each like 2 hours or something.
Well, and it was a progression. Like each one like dealt with Cybertron. The other one dealt with the war over Cybertron, and then the third one dealt with the aftermath, and before it became like this.
And it was very adult, too.
Super adult.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
That was good. This sounds kind of dumb.
It does sound kind of dumb.
This next part's fun, though.
We talked about Scary Movie already, right?
No.
We talked about...
You said Scream.
We talked about Naomi... Oh, Scary Movie! Yeah!
This is Scary Movie.
Okay, my bad. It's late. We got to end the show. I'm losing.
You're fading.
Scary Movie. I'm thinking
the next 3,
Scream.
and then we're done.
The parody series.
Yes.
The very funny. I think the third. I only saw the first 3. I haven't seen anything past that. Maybe that's a binge I need to go to and go watch.
The first 2 are funny. The third one got weird, and the fourth one was bad.
So a new Scary Movie is going to be released in 2025. The Miramax label at Paramount, under new boss, is getting back into the scary movie business with a new movie that will go into production this year for theatrical release in 2025. The news was made. Who cares about that stuff? Okay. Well, anyway, the first 5 movies made about $900 million. So,
and at the time was pretty good. The first one was such a popular movie that the Wayans brothers were contracted to make another one. They had that out 6 months after the first movie. And it became such a problem. That's why they stopped doing it, because I think Zucker or whoever got the
or
third
White
and
Girls came
ones.
out and it bombed, and they're like, you're not touching this franchise again. Get out of here. Beat it. But doing it now would be fun because there's brand new styles of horror and terror tropes that they can do.
We have like 6 or 7 Scream movies that you can parody now.
Well, not even fuck the Scream movies. You can do Get Out. You can do the Jordan Peele weird movie stuff.
That would be funny.
You can do what's the ones where people were living under the house? Parasite.
Yeah.
You can do Parasite. You can do everything. What's the other Korean movie with Jamie Lee Curtis?
Oh, Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yeah, you got that stuff. Like, there's a whole bunch of new stuff out there that they could pull from.
Oh, yeah.
To make a new parody for the scary movies. Get away from the older stuff. Bring back Michael Myers just to show how tired and like nobody's scared of him. He's there ready to kill everybody and nobody cares. It's like we don't even know what your story is anymore. Like, just get out of here. Nobody wants you.
Who are you?
Like, he gets bullied by the other horror people and the other so he just walks away dejected.
Would be fun.
The Running Man.
Yep.
Edgar, this is all news to me because Jordan got all the CinemaCon stuff before the show here. The Running Man, Edgar Wright to direct new adaptation starring Glenn Powell. Is this a reboot or is this a new version, like it's something in that universe? Like they restarted up the Running Man games
this is going to be a redo because like the original Arnold one was based off of the Running Man, written by Stephen King under his Richard Bachman pseudonym. It didn't stay completely to the book, just like Total Recall is the same way, where Total Recall, they made the movie Total Recall, but it didn't stay as close to the book that it was based on, so they redid it with Colin Farrell that stayed closer to the material. It wasn't as good because the first one was so iconic. I don't know a lot of the details on what they're going to do here, but it's interesting that Edgar Wright is going to do it. So I'm kind of curious. I know I liked his last movie. I think was it Last Night at Soho. So it shows that he can do a little bit more darker material. So it should be fun. I mean, very interesting.
I'm wondering because if it's a readaptation or whatever, I don't know if that needs to be done. If it's continuing, like they bring the games back, somebody starts up the games again. Maybe it's not a. I'm trying to remember the original games. Was it government sanctioned?
Yeah.
Right, the government was the one running game, and they were putting it out on television for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's like an underground thing, almost like a Fight Club style scenario where there's underground Running Man game, whatever they do with it. I know everybody loved that movie. They love Arnold in it. I loved Richard Dawson in that movie.
Yeah, but who would you put there in his place? Like, there's no game show hosts up to that level that can put.
No, it would have been good. Gilbert Gottfried would have been good if he was still alive. But I know what you're saying.
Because Richard Dawson was such a household name, to have him play the game show host would make sense.
He was a unique talent, personality. Like there wasn't anyone
Drew Carey's
kind
in
of like.
this.
You have actors where you're like, well, this person's kind of like this. They're all kind of like this. There was nobody kind of like him.
No, he was unique.
I don't know who today you would put in the Richard Dawson role, and they'll probably put a big name that was not going to make. Oh, it's a name to get recognized, but it's not going to make sense for the character.
Yeah,
I'll have to think about that. But I think there would be. I don't know who they'd put it.
It's Drew Carey.
No.
He's the only big game show name because that's the thing.
You don't need a game show name. You need somebody.
I know,
with that
but like if you're going to make it feel the same, it would make sense. But yeah, you're right. There's no Liam Neeson because he, give
Alex
him the
Jones?
Oh my god,
He'd fit perfectly for that. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think about that. But I love Richard Dawson.
Joe Rogan.
No, he's not. He's not
I don't
gritty
know.
enough to do it.
He's got the UFC backing,
Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman would be fun.
Paul Heyman would be great in that role.
Would be good.
He's the right kind of gritty, loud, obnoxious, confident, conceited, all the stuff Richard Dawson was, and then the showman to go along with it.
Right.
Paul Heyman would be great in the Richard Dawson movie. I'm going to tweet that out and see if he responds to it. We'll see what happens there. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 footage was teased. Return of Jim Carrey was also at CinemaCon. Sorry. He's Dr. Robotnik, right?
Yeah.
And then did they have a date of when that's coming out?
It's coming out this year. They didn't post a date. I know they have a spin-off show with Knuckles coming to Paramount. I think it's like an 8-episode run. Idris Elba reprises
December
his role
20th,
there.
Sonic 3.
Okay, so yeah, they're doing I can't believe they're doing a third Sonic the Hedgehog. I think the second one was fun. I had a good time watching it. The big story was Jim Carrey because he'd already talked about he's going to retire from acting, and then now it looks like he's going to show up in this one again. So
good for him.
Good for him. Anyway,
and then we're going to skip ahead and just get to this as the sign off for today. The Blob, they're remaking the movie, or they're bringing back that franchise. The Blob remake will honor the practical effects of the early version, so that'll be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
I can't remember. There were several Blob movies that they used to show on Channel 5 here in New York. One of them had it where the Blob took over like a roller skating rink and they figured out how to freeze it.
Weird. I don't think I ever saw that one.
I think that's the one. Was it a roller skating rink? There was something where they figured out how to freeze the thing. and they thought they killed it and whatever, like nitrogen or something. They froze it, and then at the end, everybody's walking away, and it cuts back to the ice, and then you just see the little pink ooze coming through the ice, and you know that it's alive again. Anyway, so a few months ago, it was announced that the Hellraiser reboot director David Bruckner is now attached to write and direct the brand new take on The Blob. I don't care about the behind the scenes shit here. Levine took a moment to talk about The Blob and said that the new remake with will honor the practical effects work of the previous films, which he's personally excited about. The rest of this doesn't matter. All right, but that's kind of great, like to see that where you're gonna see people falling into the giant vats of the goo, or
I like the idea
cars and all that.
Going back to simplicity of practical effects and going back to old monster movies, like not even just like the Universal monsters, like the Dracula type movies or things like that. Monster movies like The Blob or like giant spiders, or just the atomic age of movie making, like in the 50s. Like they're doing a remake of Attack of the 50. Yeah. They're doing the remake of Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. Like they're going back to some of those older properties that could be fun in a post-Cold War, we're in the nuclear age. It would be nice to see that.
Nuclear.
Okay. It's pronounced nuclear.
Nuclear.
But yeah, it's kind of cool. We just watched The Blob, the one that was done in the 80s on I'll Watch It Later, probably about 2 months ago, and I had never seen it before, and it was super cool to see just how weird and practical some of the stuff was, and it was a fun little watch. So this actual story made me kind of excited about that. I hope they do well with that and do something practical instead of all CGI and stuff. So
Pivotal Pete in the chat saying the movie I was talking about, I think that was in the 70s, Beware of the Blob.
Makes
where
sense.
They froze them in, I believe it was like a roller skating rink or something like that, where they froze
Makes sense. They were big back then.
Yeah, so, and they existed. They don't exist now, but...
blobs or roller rinks.
There's plenty of blobs everywhere you look. But the roller skating rinks have been gone since
we still have them here?
Blobs? Yeah, I know.
Yes, blobs and roller rinks.
All right, before we get to the plugs... Why is this not doing it? There it goes. Our old pal iRock is in the chat there. $2. Thank you very much, sir. Erock the Hawk. Yes, those $2 are going over to Jordan. I will make sure that he gets that. You're helping him out.
He will.
In a big, big way. All right.
I use that $2 to buy tacos and make it fun of Eric for not having a jacket.
Yes, because I'll get a text sometime tonight, probably.
You might get one, yeah.
12:30, where he's in the drive-thru of one of my favorite places, Jack in the Box, that I can't get to because they're not on the East Coast. And he'll just like, look what all the stuff I'm going to order. And then I have to write a bunch of profanity and emojis at him.
And he does.
All right. With that being said, we need to get out of here. It's time to do the plugs. And when we do that, Jordan, our nation's eyes turn to you.
My other show is called I'll Watch It Later Podcast, where we watch and review movies that we probably should have seen a long time ago. They are remaking The Blob. We actually watched the 1980s version of The Blob, which is a remake from the 1950s version of The Blob. Believe Stephen McQueen was in the first movie. So, yeah, we do all that, and then every now and then we do a snack show where Aaron will wipe his face, and we get to watch Aaron eat snacks all the time. So come check us out on Instagram.
Watch him eat movies is what you were going to say.
That would be great.
Just have him biting on the orange Nickelodeon VHS tapes.
Right, like if the
Rugrats
movie,
in the Jungle or whatever that movie was.
Yeah, if the movie scores 3 or under, we have to eat the movie so it never gets watched again. Check us out on Instagram at Watch Later Pod. You can check me out at Jinx Ronan, and we are on YouTube on I'll Watch It Later Podcast. I will have the last episode up. I uploaded it to the wrong Instagram and have to redo it, so it's 3 hours of my day. That's
It went to his OnlyFans account. For me and the program, it's Erik Nagel across the board on all the social media platforms. Go do us a kindness and go over there and follow us. If you're listening to us on iHeartRadio, thank you. If you're listening to Apple, Spotify, any of the other places you get our stuff on demand, do us a kindness. Go over there and leave us a positive review. It does help out the show up in algorithms and what have you. It helps, trust me. The little bit you could do for us for this program would be greatly appreciated. And if you want to join us live each and every week as we do the program on Thursday nights, hop over to our YouTube or our Twitch rooms, all under It's Erik Nagel. Do us a favor over there, like and subscribe. It's free. You can do all that. Set a notification to let you know that when we're on, and you can come be part of the program. All right, I think that is it. We're good. We're good, right? Please tell me we're good. We're good.
We are. In fact, Rob, if you want to play the sound, we got another super chat in there.
Oh, we do? All right, come on.
From a Hollywood agent sparing some of his Hollywood money. Threw in $1.
With no comment. All right.
No, the comments underneath.
Yep, nope, it's not. It's got to be attached.
You know what? You're right.
It's got to be attached to the money, or else it does not get read. So
thanks for the no strings attached $1 Hollywood Rob Stark.
Right. So until the next time, everybody,
be excellent to each other,
and we'll be seeing you. Goodbye, everybody.
It's Erik Nagel.
I'm not going to hang around and be the safety net every time you fall from one of your flights of fancy. That boat has sailed. That gate has closed. Alice doesn't live here anymore.
Alas, we're out of time.
Follow It's Erik Nagel on social media platforms. For ways to watch and listen to the show, or join us for the live shows, head over to itseriknagel.com. Yo, and remember to tell 2 friends so they can tell 2 friends, and they can tell 2 friends, they can tell 2 friends, they can tell 2 friends. You get the idea.
Keep it real, homies.